All right, got some rain slicking the roads out there. Got a crash over here on the South Loop, 65 northbound before I-40. Then in East Nashville, Main Street at 6th Street. Over on the East Bank, westbound at Shelby Avenue. And in Sumner County, just cleared a crash, TDOT says. That's good news. 65 northbound at Louisville Highway, Highway 31 West, exit 98. Got a crash reported by TDOT right now in Spring Hill. This is going to be 65 southbound near the Kedron Road overpass. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hello, friends. Welcome in. It is the Matt Murphy Radio Show underway for another day on a Monday, April 21, 2025. Glad you are with us. Thank you for being here. Whatever time you're able to give us, we're certainly appreciative of it. I took the day off on Friday, so I have to make up some time for you. I'll do my best to cram 5-6 hours of talk radio excellence into 4. We'll do our best. Can't make any promises. We start right now. Obviously, by now you know that the Pope Francis has passed away at the age of 88. We will discuss, for what it is worth. Obviously, it's a big moment, especially for those of the Catholic faith. It is a particular poignant moment in as much as it happened the day after one of the most sacred days in the Christian faith, and that would be the Easter holiday. Hope everyone had a good Easter. Hope you had a good weekend. I hope that my cohorts in this little adventure in the afternoon time, Ken Weaver and Chris Weber, had a wonderful Easter weekend. Hello, gentlemen. Hello.
How about you?
How's it going?
Great.
Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Fair to partly cloudy?
Fair to partly cloudy.
Well, there you go. A little rain fell.
Yeah, it
overnight.
did.
Yes, it did.
That was kind of nice, though. I like it when it does it in the overnight hours and then just gets the hell out of here.
Yeah.
And it's
That's kinda
slow rolling thunder.
Oh, yeah, that's nice. That's it reminds me of my little the little thing I got on my bedside table that makes the thunder and the rain noises.
Sound machine.
Little sound machine action.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Absolutely love that. Don't like the crickets. Don't like the crickets.
Yeah, I can't do the crickets either. And I can't I can't do the train. I've got a train on mine.
Do you now?
Yeah, and I don't, yeah.
Give you a little. Oh, it gives you a little whistle every
Yeah, it
once in a
gives you a
while?
little whistle, and I'm not sleeping through that.
Yeah, how's that supposed to be relaxing?
Well, that's what I say about the crickets. The crickets like outdoor, like you're camping.
Yeah.
It's like camping noises, but then occasionally,
Yeah.
get out. What?
Well, yeah, that could mean a spider is somewhere nearby.
Don't get me started on the spiders. Anyway, so Easter Bunny come to everybody's house?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Left a big mess.
Yeah, we got peeps.
Ugh.
Oh, big fan.
I can't do the peeps.
No, no?
Yeah.
I'll
I'm not a marshmallow guy.
I'll have yours.
Chocolate-covered peeps?
Oh, come on.
They make chocolate-covered
Oh,
ones?
well, is this not America? Is this still America?
America.
Dang right, they make chocolate-covered peeps. What are you talking about? If we can make a confection that is just basically puffy sugar, coated in a color, then why wouldn't we just put chocolate around that and call it
We can put chocolate all over it.
call it a peep? Well, y'all got pound cake. Congratulations.
Yes, thank you, Eric.
Very appreciated.
Well, very good. I just got to get it out of the old house. Anyway, we've got. I'll tell you. Good gracious, alive. Got lots to get into on the show today. It's day 91 of the Trump administration. You'd think it was day 291, but it's not. Just 91 days out of 1,460. It's also day 793 of our visits together, and we've got, as I say, lots to get into. A local story that we're going to cover for you comprehensively, and I want to talk to some of you impacted by this. Property tax rate increases came out today in Davidson County. This is on the expectation that Davidson County, and I'm gonna walk through this with you. Davidson County and Mayor Freddie O'Connell, who has confirmed an appearance on this radio show at 3:05 in the afternoon on May 1st. That is the day that he speaks to the, what is it called, the state of the city or the state of the community or the state of the metro or whatever it is.
Yeah, state of metro.
State of metro. That is May 1st, right, Ken? That's right.
I don't know if it's May 1st, but it is called the State of Metro.
Well, I have it on good authority that it is May 1 this year, and we have him. That is at 10 a.m., and we have him confirmed to be on the show at 3:05 that afternoon. The expectation is that he will announce or at least keep the door open for property tax increases on the heels of what was an incredible property tax assessment increase. Now, it's a little bit complex how all of this works, but your property tax rates are about to go up. And I'm going to explain it for you coming up in just a few minutes on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Don't you fear, I'll feed you baby birds. That is on the docket today. Another story making the rounds across the state of Tennessee, and really my main concern on this story, Tennessee approved, yesterday was 4/20, right? Yesterday was 4/20. It was Easter, so for the most part, we were celebrating the Easter holiday because most of us in the United States of America are of the Christian faith. But for some people, 4/20 designated a time to go smoke of the wacky tobacco, the left-handed cigarettes.
Wacky tobacco.
The old wacky tobacco.
The old Merida Hoochie.
The old skunk weed. The devil's lettuce.
The devil's lettuce.
Well, Tennessee has approved new restrictions on THC just days before the 4/20 quote-unquote holiday for the dopers in the listening audience. And I don't begrudge you, your habits, your addictions, whatever. But I have an explainer as to exactly what's going to happen. My main concern is, and I'm not afraid to admit it, I eat a gummy before bed.
I do, too. I sleep like a freaking rock.
And I sleep like a baby. Those Delta 9 gummies, I sleep like an absolute baby.
Yes, sir.
And I don't feel like I'm getting stoned, although I'm asleep, so I don't know.
Well, they kept me from throwing things through my TV during football season.
Well, there you go. I mean, if it's gonna have that sort of calming impact on you Oklahoma Sooner fans, all the better.
Every Saturday and Sunday.
Man, I read an article about your Sooners this weekend.
Yeah.
It's like apparently it's a make or break season for your Venables.
Oh, yes.
Don't you think?
Yeah, you don't go 6-7 in 2 seasons at Oklahoma.
Yeah.
You don't do that.
So you got to have a winning year or.
He's probably going to have to win the conference.
What?
That's a tall order.
Are y'all back in the Are y'all back in the Big Ten or or whatever? I mean, did y'all recreate the Big 12?
Hey, I go back to that joke I told during basketball season. Somebody said, "So y'all are in the SEC?" I said, "Yeah, we beat Georgia in football. Gotta go." It was basketball.
Yeah, well, everybody beat Georgia in basketball. That's okay. But we got some THC talk to get into today. So I lost my train of thought. There's 13 after the hour. I feel like I'm on a gummy right now. I'm not. I feel like I am.
Are you on a peep?
One day off. Oh my gosh. I'm not. So I try to, as much as I get accused of being intolerant of other viewpoints, I think I do this better than any host in America. I try not to make a matter of taste a matter of fact. And I've always been that way. And that is my phrase. I've heard it nowhere else. I take credit for it. Don't make a matter of taste a matter of fact. And this is what I mean. Hey, guys, have y'all seen that new movie? Oh, yeah, that new movie. That's horrible. Well, I liked it. Well, it's horrible. Well, I liked it. It's a matter of taste. Or, for example, hey, y'all like Peeps? No, I hate Peeps. Okay, that's fine. You hate Peeps. But don't tell me Peeps are awful.
Peeps are awful.
Well, see what he just did there? Y'all see what he did there? Chris Webber just made a matter of taste a matter of fact.
I think I'm making a fact that your taste is terrible.
Well, that's fine, too. But my taste is my taste, not your taste. You got to try the pink ones, though, Weber. I mean, the pink ones are much better.
Wait a minute now.
The pink
are you
ones
telling
are
me
far
now that the colors are different flavors?
Yes, I'm lying to you, but I'm telling you that.
That's what I thought.
I'm telling you that you've got to try each color just to make sure that you don't like them.
Yeah.
I'll bring you some.
Yeah, you can.
We can do a little taste test.
You can save that. No need to go
Would
through
you
any
have?
trouble.
You weren't the producer when we were on the midday show and we did the moon pie challenge.
No, I wasn't, but I participated.
Did you? That's right. You ate some moon pies, didn't you?
Now, moon pies I can deal with because it's got cookie and the chocolate or whatever the flavor is that it's coated with.
Yeah.
Those are okay.
Weaver, are you a fan of cotton candy?
No.
No?
No. I'm not a fan, but, I can do without it. I mean, it's basically just sugar.
No, well, it's just sugar.
I mean,
That's
it turns into nothing.
Yep.
I mean, if you take a big old thing of cotton candy and put it in a container and just put a little water on it,
it's gone.
It disappears. Yep. But I feel like that's what Peeps are. It's just a different form of
Yeah, kind of. I mean, it's
sugar.
It's just a form of sugar, yeah.
Sure.
I just don't like marshmallows. They're just not my thing. I like something with a little more texture and substance to it.
What kind of freak? Now, marshmallows in like a s'more, that's one thing.
Yeah.
That's fine.
A s'more?
A s'more.
Okay.
There's a comma in there or a whatever.
Yeah, I don't really like those
whatever
either.
the hell that thing is. It's not a comma. What is it? An apostrophe.
Yeah. Because it's like, want some more?
That's exactly right, Weaver. Hey,
Never
that was
thought
pretty
about
good.
that.
You got some more?
I want some more.
I'll have some more. If you put that's fine. Marshmallow in product, but what kind of animal eats marshmallows out of the bag? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, see, that's basically what you're doing if you're eating a Peep. It's just got some sugar, sprinkles on it or whatever.
No. The colors make the flavoring is so delicious. It's very tasty. I've never really been a fan of Peeps either, but they're big around the Thanksgiving holiday. I mean, Thanksgiving. What am I talking about? The Easter holiday.
Are you sure you didn't have a gummy?
I don't know. Very confused. I better start talking about politics. I'm getting my zone. Thanksgiving.
I'll go through. I'm up for Thanksgiving.
I mean,
I do it every week.
Right now, politicians all across the state of Tennessee are saying, "See, this is why we pass this. This is why we got to pass this stuff because talk radio hosts are obviously imbibing on the radio." So here's what the state lawmakers did. Just on this legislation, they passed the bill April 17th. It's got to be signed by Governor Bill Lee. It will adopt new restrictions for cannabis in the state of Tennessee, including new tax rates, age restrictions, penalties, and licensure requirement. The bill was sponsored by Senator Richard Briggs. We're endeavoring to have the good senator on the show with us. I'll let you know if he's going to come on today or sometime this week. I might disagree with him on the legislation, but I'm not here to argue with him about it. I mean, I understand that many people across the state of Tennessee are concerned that we are slowly creeping toward recreational marijuana. But my question for you is, are we not slowly moving toward recreational marijuana use? And is that something that the state of Tennessee wants, or is it something that the state of Tennessee wants to prevent? I'm not even here to offer an opinion on it. My opinion is you own you, and you ought to be able to do with your body what you choose to do with your body without interference from state government. That said, the state currently has certain restrictions about exactly what you can and cannot do. The Tennessee law is an overview of hemp products available in the state and how they are sold. The bill would establish tax rate for different types of cannabis products. I'm reading now from the Tennessean article on this, outlining licensure requirement for suppliers, wholesalers, and retailers, setting fines for violators, and designating state enforcement authority. The most impactful portion of the legislature is that it would limit the production and sale of non-Delta-9 THC hemp-derived cannabinoid products with a concentration of 0.3%. This limits what hemp products can be sold within the state. It also classifies THCA as the precursor of Delta-9 THC rather than a hemp-derived product. In other words, Delta-9s will still be legal in the state of Tennessee. Okay, story over.
Yeah.
For me, at least.
I mean,
it's amazing that the number of look, all I can do is be honest with you folks, and that's what we do on the radio show, and that's what we try to, on a daily basis. We get your thoughts, we have talks with you, and this is just you and I talking, right? The number of people, when I was in Alabama and even into Tennessee, the number of people that you get around, and if you talk with them in confidence, they tell you that they consume marijuana-based product, right? Whether it's smokables or edibles or whatever. The amount of people, they are not willing to admit that publicly, but privately they would tell you that. Okay. Well, now that these gummies are readily available, and they're not marijuana gummies, they're THC gummies, which mean they're marijuana gummies, but if you say it's a THC gummy, then it's not really whatever. The amount of people that are in a group, like I'm talking about older people, like just people that typically would never, they're like, oh, yeah, I have a gummy. And Ken and I just did it. We're older people, and we just said, oh, yeah, I have a gummy at night. No, but the amount of people that are willing to I guess what I'm saying is that gummies are socially acceptable, whereas marijuana use did not seem to be socially acceptable. And that's just 3, 4, 5 years ago. Am I the only one?
No, I'm hearing what you're saying, Brother Murphy.
I mean, I don't know. I just and
I think people think that they're more comfortable because they know, well, they can just go to the store and buy these.
Yes.
So it can't be something that I, shouldn't be able
bad.
to talk about. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, like right now, it would be back in my really heavy marijuana smoking days.
Wow.
It'd be scary to buy pot right now because you don't know what's in it.
Oh, 100%.
Oh, no question. And I have it on good authority that, back in, we can say now, Kent, back in our day, back in my college days.
Yes, sir.
That's that wacky tobacco that they had back then. I'm told that the wacky tobacco that they have now is a different deal altogether.
Yeah.
Right. It's a different concentration. And maybe that's in part because so many states have legalized it. And so in legalizing it, you can cultivate it and you can if you normalize production practice, then you can control it. Right. You can control what the substance is and what it has in it and what it doesn't have in it. And that way you can get defined. Like I am told, and I've never been into one of these dispensaries, but I'm told out in Colorado and some of the places where it's recreational legal, they will point you. You're like, hey, I don't want to get really high. Oh, okay, you need to come over here. Or, hey, I want to get obliterated. Okay, well, here, this will make you slobber on the couch.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know that we want necessarily to do that in the state of Tennessee. I don't think the state of Tennessee is necessarily ready for recreational marijuana. But I asked a question of a prominent state lawmaker, and I will not name them because it was a question that was asked in private. But I said I was a little bit surprised when I moved to the state that considering the amount of tourism that we have here, that there has yet to be a push to have a casino, right? I'm just surprised. I'm not saying I advocate for it, although I do advocate for freedom, and freedom involves your freedom to do with your money what you will.
Yes.
But I'm just a little bit surprised that out of Knoxville or Pigeon Forge or Nashville or Memphis, that somewhere there had not been a push to locate casino-style gambling or a casino. Mm-hmm. And so I asked this lawmaker, I said, which do you think will come first? Casino-level gambling or recreational marijuana? And he said, well, I don't think either of them will come anytime soon. And I said, but if I made you pick, and he actually picked recreational marijuana in terms of legalization before casino-style gambling, which frankly surprised me. Both of them are looked negatively by many Tennesseans. I'm curious what you think about it. 23 after the hour. We'll talk about this THC legislation coming up in just a moment on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Contrary to what the guy said on the radio just a minute ago, it's springtime. It's not Thanksgiving. And in the springtime, you need to get that AC checked. It's as simple as when spring comes, let's go ahead and call Jeff Eddy. Let's schedule that appointment. Let's make it an annual event. Why? Because it helps the health of your home. You're not sucking in that dust and that dander that comes from an idle system that sits over the wintertime months. Secondarily, you're allowing Jeff or one of his certified technicians to make sure that everything's running as it should, because if they catch things on the front end, they can prevent real damage to your system on the back end. Thirdly, they can identify when a system's on its last legs and give you a little bit of a warning or a heads up. Hey, this is coming. Might want to think about replacing that system. When it comes time to replace, they'll tell you, and they are an Elite Pro partner with Ream. And as an Elite Pro partner with Ream, they can put you in the right direction, what's right for you and your family. Go to efficienthvac.net. That's efficienthvac.net, or call 615-784-4424. You'll never pay over $125 for a residential maintenance call, no matter how many units you might have, and oftentimes you're paying a lot less than that. Also, you don't pay overtime on nights or weekend calls. It's Jeff Eddy, an Efficient Heating and Cooling. EfficientHVAC.net.
Well, the U.S. Department of Education is going to start federal student loan collections soon. I'll tell you about that and more coming up at 3:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
That is on the way in just a couple of minutes. It is the Matt Murphy Show, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Man, a lot of reaction to the THC legislation. I'll get to some of your super text and your telephone calls coming up in just a moment. Speaking of reaction, I got this. We heard from the great Brian Wilson. He was in for Chad Benson today, and it's always good to hear from Brian. And I know he's enjoying his retirement, but it's good to get him back out of retirement and back on the radio. And he's still a part of the Super Talk family, obviously. And obviously, I took over for Brian, and I am a shadow of Brian Wilson in more ways than one, not just in height. But I love seeing this stuff. So on the super text line, 3069 is not a fan of Matt Murphy at all.
Okay.
Like 2 weeks ago, so I see this on the super text line, April 7th. So that's a couple of weeks ago when Cameron Smith was in for me. He said, "You should take over for Matt Murphy. You're crazy, but he's just awful. A bad replacement for Brian and Phil."
You're crazy.
So
They're off.
So that was 2 weeks ago. Today at 2:50, while Brian and I were talking, while we were on the air together, 3069 writes in, "Brian, we need you back. Matt Murphy sucks. We don't listen after 3 anymore." And my response was, "I'm right here. I'm sitting right.
I'm here.
I'm sitting right here." Of course, I didn't get a response. So 3069, I love you. I know you don't love me, but I love you, and I appreciate each and every one of you. Y'all remember when back in the day, we're going to talk about this a little bit too. We'll talk THC and all of that, but do y'all remember when people died of old age? People don't die of old age anymore.
No.
And I'm a little bit, I mean, the Pope was in ill health, has been in ill health for some time now. And the Pope passed away on the day after Easter, and that's very poignant for a lot of Christian folks. Mm-hmm. And the media seems obsessed to learn why he died. And I'm like,
sorry.
No, I'm the same way, kid. I mean, like, he's 88 and he's been in poor health. He died of old age, is the way he died, and I just wish we could bring back he died of old age.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember there was a report when Queen Elizabeth died. Wasn't she like 99? And someone said she died suddenly? Yeah. Suddenly?
Out of the blue.
I mean, what are you talking about? More coming up on that in a moment. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Well, the U.S. Department of Education just put out a press release. It says they're going to start federal student loan collections on May 5th. Struggling borrowers are urged to act now, the press release says. As of today, the U.S. Department of Education says 42.7 million borrowers owe more than $1.6 trillion in student debt. Pope Francis died of a stroke and irreversible heart failure, according to the Vatican doctor, and a death certificate. Meanwhile, masses and services around the world after the Pope died yesterday, actually this morning, that is, overnight, at the age of 88. So what happens next is steeped in hundreds of years of tradition.
Eventually, his body will be moved from his residence, where it was placed in a simple casket, to St. Peter's for lying in state, and the public can pay respects. And we would expect tens of thousands of people from all over the world to come and pay tribute to Pope Francis.
And we understand that the president and first lady are expected to attend the funeral later this week. Markets lost ground today. The Dow tumbled at least 1,000 points at the opening bell this morning before recovering a little bit. All three major indices ended down at least 2.5%. Investors worried about tariffs. President Trump disparaging Fed Chair Jerome Powell for not reducing interest rates, posting to Truth Social that Powell is a, quote, major loser. Then you have China out there threatening other countries that make a deal with the U.S. with the communist regime, saying it comes at China's expense. We will reciprocate. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, police say over here on the South Loop, we got a crash, 65 northbound, right before I-40. And then Main Street at 6th Street, still working that one in East Nashville. And Douglas Avenue, west of Ellington Parkway. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk, 99.7 WTN.
You're probably mowing, and if you're dissatisfied with the manner in which you're mowing, a mower is performing, might I recommend Dickens Turf and Landscape Supply? Go where the pros go. Go to Dickens Turf and Landscape Supply. Whether you're a professional cutter or a homeowner that wants to mow like a pro, they have the fairest line of suspension mowers that are just incredible. You wouldn't want to drive a car without suspension. Why would you mow without it? And with the fairest line of mowers, you don't have to. Productivity doesn't end with the fairest line of mowers. They've got so many different types of systems over there at the Dickens Turf and Landscape Supply guys, and they've got everything that you need for your lawn, whether it's fertilizer or seed, pre-emergent or herbicide. You need to get your property ready for the late spring and summer months, and it's time to get it done with Dickens Turf and Landscape Supply. They offer professional advice, and they know how to give you the right advice for you and your turf. Go where the pros go. Dickens Turf and Landscape Supply. Whether you're trimming bushes, cutting grass, or just trying to keep weeds and insects off of your property, they're the place to go. And at Dickens, there's a place near you. They have 7 locations: Nashville, Bellevue, Murfreesboro, Brentwood, Mower, Hendersonville, Mount Juliet, and Franklin, or online at dickenssupply.com. Tell them Murphy sent you to dickenssupply.com. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Matt Murphy on a Monday. Thank you for being with us. Give us a little bit of time. We'll grow on you like a fungus.
Like a rash.
Yeah, like just latch on there. Spread uncontrollably throughout the afternoon. So Kathy writes in and says, Matt, maybe the media is trying to set up a conspiracy that J.D. Vance killed the Pope. They're not trying to set it up. I've already seen it online.
Oh, man.
Oh, yeah. The Pope's doing fine. Then J.D. Vance met with him, and look what happened. Y'all stop it. The man was 88. And, and I understand that it's, particularly for people of the Catholic faith. I've never, look, everybody knows what's going to happen next, at least anybody that's gone to see the movie Conclave. Y'all know.
I know. I saw that movie.
Did you see the movie Conclave?
I saw it.
Was it any good, Ken?
Yes, sir.
Oh, well,
it's
there you
real
go.
Good. Got a great cast.
John Lithgow's in that thing.
Ray Fiennes.
Ray Fiennes is in that. There's a couple of others that I recognize from the trailers that I've seen. Mm-hmm. Is it a suspense thriller, Ken Weaver?
Not in that sense.
Mm-hmm.
It is kind of suspenseful, but it kind of depicts, at least according to this movie, kind of the politicking that goes on.
What goes on when a pope has passed?
Conclave.
Yeah. Because the idea is, if I understand it properly, that when a pope dies, they do all of the obvious ceremony and the burial and the funeral procession and the various things that go along with that, and then at some point, all of the big time Catholic folks get together. Mm-hmm. The cardinals, I guess it is.
Yeah, the cardinals.
And they put them in a room, and they stay in the room until they pick a pope. That's right?
Yep.
And then
they light a fire.
And then if there's, white smoke, no pope, black smoke, pope, or vice versa?
No, white smoke, pope.
White smoke, pope.
Black smoke, no pope.
Black smoke, no pope.
Yep.
White smoke, pope.
Yeah.
I remember the last time we did this. I was on the radio, and I remember doing the smoke watch. And we had a sounder for it. Smoke watch. 2014 or whatever, whenever it was.
Yeah.
When Benedict passed away, wait a minute. Benedict didn't pass away. He quit, didn't he?
I think so.
Quit sounds.
Yeah, he didn't pass away.
He resigned just for health reasons.
I believe so.
I believe that's true too. Well, my knowledge of the Catholic faith is not as good as some, and I apologize. By the way, a lot of folks responding to our conversation regarding marijuana, medical or recreational, in the state of Tennessee, and not surprisingly, many of you are in favor of it. And I say not surprisingly because, frankly, I think it's well over a majority when I have conversations privately and publicly about this where people say, I don't have a problem with it. Now, there are people that are adamantly and vehemently against it. Obviously, our lawmakers in the state of Tennessee have no interest in it. But it's interesting to me that typically when we have these discussions that I wouldn't say an overwhelming majority, but a majority of Tennesseans say, I don't have a problem with it. It's in 25 other states, by the way. And not just necessarily what we consider to be our liberal states, although obviously they're going to be the states that have legalized it first and recreationally. Here's the list: Alaska, Arizona, Colorado, California, Connecticut, Delaware, Illinois, Maine, Maryland, Massachusetts, Michigan, Minnesota, Missouri, Montana, Nevada, New Jersey, New Mexico, New York, Ohio, Oregon, Rhode Island. I just lost my page. Tennessee's not there, I promise you that. Oh, here we go. Vermont, Virginia, Washington, and Washington, D.C. You notice that the Bible Belt, not very represented down there. You don't see a North Carolina or South Carolina or a Georgia or a Florida or a Tennessee or an Alabama or a Mississippi, although in some of those states, variations of hemp product is available, much like in the state of Tennessee.
I understand Georgia it's available.
I don't have them on my list of this is medical and recreational purchase and consumption. I know that it's decriminalized in Georgia.
Yeah, I think they're like Tennessee is right now.
Where you can buy
where you can get the flour, you can the gummies and all.
Right. Huh. And folks are asking where you get the gum. Y'all are going to have to do your own research on that.
Yeah.
I mean, if one of these stores want to pay me, I'll tell you where to go. But
sure.
I get mine wholesale from Alabama.
I get mine retail.
Yeah. Well, there you go. So, I mean, there's plenty of places to get them. But for those of you asking, y'all can figure it out. I don't, 1972 reflects what a lot of you are saying. I don't use, but I believe it to be an adult decision. Andrea says legalize to save lives. 1377 says Pope Benedict resigned because it was found out he had Nazi affiliations in his youth. I don't know that that's why he did that. Well, maybe. I don't know. I'll defer to you on that, 1377. I don't remember that, but I don't know. 4223 says, what happens if it's blue or red smoke? Yeah.
Then they've named the new Smurf.
Probably a political statement. Yeah, I guess. Gargamel. Remember Gargamel?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What,
Azrael was the cat.
Azrael was the cat. I always wanted, I was always rooting for Gargamel and Azrael, weren't you? I mean, I just wanted him to catch the Smurfs and just cook them up. I mean, what would he do if he caught them?
Maybe
he would have killed them, right?
I would think so, yeah.
I mean, that would be pretty tragic.
He had played with him.
Cat
Like
popping,
a cat does.
popping Papa Smurf around. Pop. Back to what we were saying. Let's see. Died from a lack of breath. Matt, did you see the show title? John wants to know if I saw the show title. What's the show title?
I've forgotten already. I got to look. Yeah. The Easter Murphy hops back to the mic, but those aren't chocolate eggs.
Here comes Murphy Cottontail, up and down the bunny trail. All right, THC in the state of Tennessee. Here's the, I won't try to bore you with some of the legalese on this, but the most impactful portion of the legislation is that it would limit the production and sale of non-Delta-9 THC hemp-derived cannabinoid. That means that it classifies the flower, as we talked about last week when they were considering this bill. It classifies the flower, THCA, as the precursor of Delta-9 rather than a hemp-derived product, meaning that it becomes illegal. THC is the prominent chemical compound found in cannabis. You can smoke it, you can put it in an edible, and it will get you high. There are different variations of THC, including Delta-9, Delta-8, and Delta-10. Delta-9 is the most common. THC is also used in THCA and THCV, which offer a health benefit without the high or psychedelic effect. However, if THCA is heated up and decarbonized, it becomes a marijuana-like product that produces a high. That is what they wanted to ban. So THCA will continue to be legal in Tennessee as long as it's within the 0.3 percentile limit. Anything above that is illegal, and they're going to try to clamp down on those selling illegal products. You can buy legal recreational marijuana in about half the states in the United States of America. Neither medical or recreational marijuana legally available in the state of Tennessee. Although if you walk on Lower Broadway, you would strongly disagree with that sentiment because it feels like it is prominent, at least down there. Jim might have a thought on all of this out of Murfreesboro. Hey, Jim, how are you?
Hey, I'm good. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Hey, as far as THC and hemp products go, I'm not a consumer of, I don't ingest it. But as a textile, it answers a lot of problems. Everybody talks about DuPont and the plastics and killing the fish and stuff like that. Well, hemp nets rot and feed the fish, right?
Mm-hmm.
Plastics, plant-based plastics. Hemp is the answer to that. Construction material, anything made out of chipped lumber can be made out of hemp, like plywood, structural beams, such as that.
You know who was a big time believer in hemp?
They say George Washington.
George Washington. That's right.
Yeah.
I know they still feature. When we took a tour years ago of Mount Vernon, they talk about his hemp growing on his property and the uses that he devised for the hemp-based products.
It's my understanding that the U.S. military grows its own hemp because the rope performs better than anything nylon can produce. These are rumors that I've heard from people in the military.
I wouldn't deny it.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it either. The way I understand that marijuana is illegal is because of lobbying from DuPont and the lumber barons, because they realized how much profit it would cost them if they utilized the true usage of the fiber.
Well, and now it is the alcohol industry is one of the strongest opponents of legalization of marijuana. And I mean, if you think about it, I mean, that's just, it's kind of absurd, but it is true that the alcohol industry doesn't want legalization of marijuana because they believe that it'll cut into their profits. They don't really care about the health and safety of their consumers so much as they care about the bottom line. I don't necessarily begrudge them that, Jim, but it is truthful. I mean, it is a fact. No, hemp-derived products are incredibly useful for any variety of number of things. It is and it is a well-known fact that our founding fathers utilized hemp as it was readily grown, and I don't know that they utilized it in the manner in which we traditionally see it utilized, but be that, I'll leave that up for debate for the historians. It's 11 until the top of the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WT, and Ms. Vicky is on the road with a Peeps joke. Hey, Ms. Vicky.
Hey, yeah, I heard you talking about Peeps, and I got a great idea for what to do with all those Peeps that are still laying around.
Okay.
Everybody knows what creme brulee is, right?
Oh, yes.
Well, this is what we call redneck creamy brulee. And you take those Peeps and you roast them like marshmallows, and voila, you got redneck creamy brulee.
Creamy brulee.
Give me some of that creamy brulee.
Yeah, it really does taste good. But I do have an opinion on the marijuana thing. I definitely think it ought to be at least medical. Not sure about recreational because of what you said about how it's not the same as it was in the 70s. And it might be a little stronger, and it might be hard to know what you got. Mm-hmm. So it might be good to just have it medical.
Well, I would, I've argued for a long time because so many folks have concerns, and thank you, Ms. Vicky, for the telephone call. So many people have concerns about the recreational use of marijuana and where that would go. And I think we're seeing so many different states and what the negatives are, what the positives are in those given states. The positives for me are mostly the aspect of freedom to do as you choose, as opposed to what government dictates for you to do. But that said, from a medical standpoint, I've long argued that perhaps that's why it's here. I've seen the tremendous medical benefit of CBD oil. CBD is it's a cannabinoid that is inside of the THC that creates medicinal effect. It is part of the reason why people with seizures see their seizures drop dramatically, if not eliminated from their lives, as a result of CBD oil, which comes from the hemp plant or the marijuana plant. I mean, these are reasons why I would argue that marijuana is on planet Earth. We have no idea what scientific value until we explore the full scientific value of these things. And sadly, pharmaceutical industry, they want to eliminate all of that. They have spent the pharmaceutical industry, regardless of what you think about recreational use, regardless of what you think about the dopers, regardless of what you think about, what you smell when you go down to Lower Broad. Let me tell you something. The pharmaceutical industry, which is in the business of creating drugs in labs and selling you those drugs for a profit, they have spent millions and millions, if not billions of dollars trying to stop medical marijuana usage. Why? Because it cuts into their profits. Not because they care about your health. Not because they care about the safety of the product. Because it cuts into their profits. Now, that said, I'll tell you, the biggest thing that went against... y'all ever see the movie Reefer Madness?
I've heard of it.
Y'all need to go back and watch the movie. Reefer Madness.
From the 50s, isn't it?
Yeah, it's way back in the day. Maybe even before then. Maybe the 40s. But it is said that the movie Reefer Madness did more to turn the tide against marijuana than anything else in the United States of America.
What, like make people zombies or something? They're
No,
people?
Kid, go back and watch just the trailer if you can.
All right.
Reefer Madness, and tell me in your life experience if you've ever met anyone on dope that acted like this. I mean, the guy's like manically playing the piano. It's like faster, faster. It's like he's on cocaine. He's on some sort of stimulant, and it's like I've never. Look, I'm not suggesting that I've been around it for a large portion, but I've never met anyone that's high that acted like that dude. It's like he's on meth. But yeah, Reefer Madness turned the tide against marijuana in this country. 53 after the hour on Super Talk. You know, if you have foundation issues in your home, those aren't going to go away. I'm sad to tell you. Now, sometimes it can be an easy fix for you in your home. Other times it might be a little bit more of a complex project. Do you know? Foundation issues often come from waterproofing issues or lead to waterproofing issues. Those two things go hand in hand. Now, the concrete leveling that is done by USS, that's a little bit different. But USS is your trusted source to fix all things foundation repair or waterproofing within your home. USS stands for United Structural Systems. And homeowners since 1994 have trusted USS to come into their home and fix what ails that house. Almost 30,000 satisfied customers at USS United Structural Systems. They serve all the areas within the sound of my voice. Friends, if you have structural issues within your home, you need to call the best. Call USS. That number is 615-488-7855. 488-7855, or go online to USSTN.com. Read some of the incredible testimonials, and you'll see that homeowners since 1994 have trusted USS. USSTN.com.
Uncle Sam is going to start sending student loan borrowers in default to collections soon. I'll tell you more about it at 4 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
These high school boys and girls are having a hop at the local soda fountain. Innocently, they dance. Innocent of a new and deadly menace lurking behind closed doors. Marijuana, the burning weed with its roots in hell. In this film, you will see the ease with which this vicious plant can be grown in your neighbor's yard, rolled into harmless-looking cigarettes.
Oh, no.
Hidden in an innocent shoe or watch case.
Hidden in your shoe.
In this startling film, you will see dopesters lure children to destruction.
Oh, that's...
With its roots grown in hell.
1937. I'm going to give you the background of Reefer Madness in a moment. It's pretty funny. It was originally done by a church.
Yeah.
Called Tell Your Children. Then it became Reefer Madness. That's coming up. It's news time on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Four o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic coming up in 5 minutes. U.S. Department of Education put out a news release this afternoon. They're going to start federal student loan collections and other actions to help borrowers get back into repayment. Collections to restart May 5th. They say struggling borrowers are urged to act now. Department of Education says in this news release, 42.7 million people owe more than $1.5 trillion in student debt. More than 5 million borrowers have not made a monthly payment in over 360 days. They sit in default, many more for more than 7 years. 4 million borrowers are in late-stage delinquency, 91 to 180 days.
This is a special report from ABC News. I'm Michelle Franzen. Pope Francis, who battled pneumonia for the past few months, died today. The Vatican released his death certificate showing the 88-year-old suffered a cerebral stroke. ABC's Terry Moran has more on his life.
All those unforgettable moments of Pope Francis, the way that he went to a war zone, that he brought refugees back to his own house in Rome. And all those gestures, that's really his legacy, not hammered out in writing in church doctrine, but in the witness that he bore with his own personal example. The question is, personalities come and go. It's doctrine that survives. And what will come next is a question before the church.
The Vatican released the Pope's will and also stated he wants his funeral to reflect his humble life. Following the Pope's public funeral, cardinals will convene to choose his successor. President Trump today ordering flags be lowered to half-staff in his honor. The president will also attend the Pope's funeral.
Preventive care health benefits provided at no cost under Obamacare are in the balance today as the U.S. Supreme Court justices consider whether the government task force behind the mandate to insurers is unconstitutional. The case was brought by a group of employers and individuals who oppose some of the U.S. Preventive Services Task Force's recommendations for covered services on religious groups, specifically to prevent HIV. The plaintiffs allege that members of this task force who are appointed and supervised by the Health and Human Services Secretary are not properly appointed and they have too much power, and lower federal courts agreed. Meta says it's cracking down on teenagers suspected of lying about their age. Here's Mike Dubusky.
Using artificial intelligence, Meta now says it's going to automatically place users suspected of being underage into a more restrictive form of account on Facebook and Instagram. Teen accounts were rolled out last year and limit who can see and who can message with a teenager's profile.
That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Well, police say the right shoulder is blocked by a crash 40 westbound before Charlotte Pike. And then on the South Loop, right shoulder blocked 65 northbound right before I-40. That's 65 northbound before I-40. Traffic every 10 minutes, every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, here we go, friends. Hour number 2 of the Matt Murphy Radio Show underway, 4:07. Thank you for being with us. We've much to get to on this Monday edition. You can find us on a variety of different platforms. This episode 793, obviously on 99.7 FM. We thank you for that. You can also find us anywhere you download or stream music, news, or information on any app. You can find us there, whether it's iHeart, TuneIn, Spotify, and the like. You can also find us on our own app. Go to your app store and type in Supertalk 99.7 WTN. Take us wherever you go. And then, of course, there's Talk TV. For you masochists in the listening audience that want to see my ugly mug for the next 3 hours, you may do so. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. Pithy titles of our YouTube and Twitter and Twitch and Facebook commentary offered by Chris Webber. And I wasn't aware how pithy and funny they were until the caller said, have you seen the super texter said, have you seen the titles? And I started reviewing some of our titles.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how good you were at this.
Yeah, some days it hits me, some days it doesn't.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I appreciate it. You know, just note that Chris Webber is responsible for those titles, not Matt Murphy, nor Ken Weaver. There you go. I am responsible for this, though, and I can't get off of it. There's lots to get into. Obviously, the Pope has passed away. Many within the mainstream media are on that story. And look, the same individuals that want to ignore the Christian faith for most, the same groups, not individuals, the same groups, like #NeverCNN, that want to ignore the Christian faith for most of our lives, now want to focus on it in as much as Pope Francis has passed away. He died of a stroke and heart failure at the age of 88. The Vatican has sealed the papal apartment, as they call it, and now the process begins for the selection of a new pope. And I'm as familiar with that process as the next guy. I'm not as familiar with the process as someone like Ken Weaver that has watched the movie Conclave, although I hear that it's a fine feature film. And, you know, for those of you who have watched the Conclave, you know how all of this is going to work out with some white smoke at the end, I suppose. We've also got Pete Hegseth under attack again. It is Signal 2.0. I'll tell you exactly what's going on there. We have MSNBC attempting to scare the hell out of black Americans, suggesting that black Americans are next after Abrego Garcia has been deported back to his home country of El Salvador. Speaking of Garcia, I've got a Garcia update coming up. There was a hands-off rally in Franklin over the weekend. We'll talk about that. We got the THC conversation that is ongoing right now. Plus, we've got another conversation regarding Davidson County and property tax increases. That is all to come. And then there's this story. How does Kristi Noem, I don't understand this for the life of me. So Kristi Noem is the Secretary of Homeland Security. That is obviously a very high-profile position, especially considering some of the first 91 days of the Trump administration. It is a high-profile position within the Trump administration and, frankly, a very dangerous one. There's a lot of volatility. There's a lot of emotions going on with regard to the deportation of illegal aliens who never should have been in the United States of America to begin with. And there's, frankly, a lot of lies and deceit going on amongst our liberal friends that are leading to ultimately endangering the lives of government officials like Kristi Noem. You would think that Kristi Noem would have a robust level of security around her at any given time. You would think. Well, apparently not enough that she was not robbed at an upscale restaurant during an Easter holiday meal with her family. The Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem's purse was stolen with thousands of dollars in cash inside of it at a restaurant in Washington, D.C., according to multiple sources from the Department of Homeland Security, confirming to Fox News and other media outlets. The purse was taken by a white male wearing a mask. The bag contained $3,000 in cash, as well as personal documents, including Kristi Noem's passport. I've got so many questions. Why are you carrying around your passport? I don't. Keys, driver's license, DHS badge, according to an agency spokesperson. The spokesperson announcing this, saying that the entire family was in town, including her children and grandchildren. Obviously, crime in the capital city continues to be a major issue, including theft. President Trump has put pressure on the mayor, Muriel Bowser, to not only increase law enforcement presence, but to clean up the homeless situation. So there's not a lot of details, i.e. where this was, what restaurant it was from. But apparently this guy just picked up her bag and walked out with it, and they haven't found it. How does that happen? I have so many questions. Does she not have security detail around her? Did she leave her purse in the bathroom or something? Why does she have her passport in her purse? I mean, once again, I'm not faulting her for that. That's just a natural question. I mean, you don't carry your passport around with you. I don't, especially if you have other legal forms of identification. And then there's this. Who carries around $3,000 in cash? I don't. I'm not knocking her for it. I'm not suggesting anything about it. I just don't understand it. And I don't understand how this could happen. I don't have a lot to say about it, except I don't understand how the Secretary of Homeland Security doesn't have a more robust security presence. Certainly you have one or two, right? You would think. And then there's this. On the heels of the Tennessee legislature passing restrictions on THC, I wanted to finish this trailer for you. So it was a 1936 exploitation film. This is a fun trip down memory lane. It apparently became very popular in the mid and late 1970s. And then when when VHS tapes became prominent in the early 1980s, this came out on VHS, and it became incredibly popular on college campuses, as you might expect. Popular because of the campy nature of the film and because of the satire that it presented for those kids who were probably high on dope at the time. It was called Reefer Madness.
These high school boys and girls are having a hop at the local soda fountain.
Having a hop.
Innocently they dance. Innocent of a new and deadly menace lurking behind closed doors.
Uh-oh.
Marijuana, the burning weed with its roots in hell.
He's smoking it.
In this film, you will see the ease with which this vicious plant can be grown in your neighbor's yard.
Oh, no.
Rolled into harmless-looking cigarettes.
Harmless cigarettes.
Hidden in an innocent shoe or watch case. In this startling film, you will see dopesters lure children to destruction.
Dopesters.
We're going over to Joe's place. Why don't you come along? We have a date to play a set of doubles. Oh, you can play anytime. Come on, we'll have some laughs. Can I go along with you?
Have some laughs.
Hey, I'll see you at dinner, sis.
Yeah.
If you want a good smoke, try one of these.
Try one of these
You will
marijuana
meet
cigarettes.
Bill, who once took pride in his strong will as he takes the first step toward enslavement.
Enslavement.
Of course, if you're afraid.
You don't want to be a square, do you?
Smoking the soul-destroying reefer, they find a moment's pleasure, but at a terrible price.
They're smooching.
Debauchery, violence, murder.
Oh, she just jumped out of a window. Oh, no. Oh, the horror.
And the ultimate end of the marijuana addict. Hopeless insanity.
Hopeless insanity. Making her play faster.
See this important film now, before it is too late.
Before it's too late. There you go. There's Reefer Madness.
Marijuana.
Why don't you try one of these cigarettes?
Try one of these. See, you don't want to be.
Yeah. See, yeah.
You don't want to be a squire, do you? No. Apparently, the movie was originally financed by a church group under the title Tell Your Children in 1936. The film was intended to be shown to parents as a morality tale, attempting to teach them about the dangers of cannabis use. Okay. Well, after the film was shot, it was purchased by a producer and recut for distribution as an exploitation film, catering to the vulgar interests of marijuana use and sex and debauchery, while escaping censorship under the guise of being a morally proper film because it was teaching people about this moral debauchery. The film was rediscovered in the 1970s, gained a new life as unintentional satire among advocates of cannabis reform. There you go. Reefer Madness.
Marijuana. I don't know. The gong in there was funny to me. I don't know.
Oh, no.
We'll have a laugh.
I'll have a good laugh. Play the piano. Play it faster. See?
Jump out this window.
She just runs and just smashes. Then an old lady goes to the window.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, I do. I frankly, I think every time we say the word marijuana, should have a gong.
You know, that scared the hell out of people back then, too.
Oh, my. Yeah. Well, they thought you'd become the big voice guy, Ken, said it clearly that it leads to the inevitable insanity. 6466 says, damn, I'm a dopester. Cool. Yeah, you are, buddy. If you're on the wacky tobacco, that's exactly what you are.
Goodness.
Tim says, I think that film was produced by Anthony Fauci. Try these pharmaceuticals, see? Don't go for that natural stuff. Wear your mask. Good gracious.
Dude, you're nailing that voice.
See? Wise guy, eh? Oh, cheese it. It's the cops.
Cheese it?
Oh, yeah. That was.
What is that?
You got to get out of here.
Oh.
Got to cheese it.
Never heard that one.
Oh.
Yeah. What are you, a wise guy? You a copper? See? Me and you, we need to do our own film. You can play WC and I'll play that guy.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Hand me one of those weird hand-rolled cigarettes.
No, it'll drive you insane, WC.
Already there. Already there.
Quiet, boy. You bother me.
I just...
Oh,
man. Anyway, this film was known... hold on. It was known by like 18 different titles.
Oh, I've got to watch this.
You got to see it. It was, let me see. It was redistributed like 14 different times. It went under the name Reefer Madness. It was Tell Your Children originally, then Reefer Madness. In the West, it was called Doped Youth. And in Pennsylvania and West Virginia territory, they called it The Burning Question. Screened all over the country during the 1940s under these titles. Then eventually, a fellow by the name of Albert Denzel of Detroit bought the rights in 1951 and used it for road show screenings throughout the 1950s. Probably made a lot of money on that movie.
Yeah.
And, so there you go. Such educational exploitation films common in the years following adoption of stricter versions of production codes in the 1930s. It was shown alongside marijuana, that's with an H, marijuana, and the assassination of our youth, all about the exploitation of marijuana use. So there you go. That's marijuana talk on Super. Oh, and appropriately enough, we're going to finish up with marijuana talk at 4:20 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hello, friends. It's Matt Murphy. And before you know it, I mean, April is here right now, but May will be along. And at the end of May, I want to remind you of a very special date that we want you to save. May 31st, a Saturday from 10 until 2. We're going to be at the one and only Glock store. Now, I encourage you to go before. I encourage you to check out the retail shop, check out the Shoot 270 lanes, rooms, never lanes, rooms always at the Glock store. But right now, we're talking specifically about the incredible event that is always a special occasion. It is the 5th Annual Nashville Open House. Now, rumor has it they're giving away not one, but multiple Glocks at this year's open house. That's pretty cool considering they gave away a Glock worth about $1,800, a customized Glock, just for signing up last year. That's right. I'll be there, and I'd love to meet you from 10 until 2. It is at my place to train and my place to shoot. Last year, they gave away 25 separate red dot optics, plus that Glock I mentioned, below-cost flash sales on so many different items. It was a packed event, and we would love to see you. There's food trucks available. There's different kinds of activities available, and you will see the one and only Glock store in person. Minutes from the airport, worth the drive from anywhere. Save the date for May 31st, and we'll see you at the 5th Annual Nashville Open House at the Glock store.
Student loan borrowers who are in default could be sent to collections soon. We'll tell you about the press release from the U.S. Department of Education coming up at 4:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Y'all say well, Donald Trump made the Easter Bunny giggle yesterday or today? Earlier today?
Did he really?
Oh, he did. He did. He was apparently he had a few things to say about Crazy Joe.
Do you remember the bunny with Joe Biden? Remember? Do you remember when the bunny took Joe Biden out. He's not taking Trump out. Anyway, that was a beautiful moment when the bunny saved Joe Biden.
That was a beautiful moment when the bunny saved. He took Joe out.
Oh,
he did. He was like, no, come this way. And the guy of the bunny suit was like, oh no. I was like, oh no.
And then he still didn't know what to do. He was like, what?
Well,
and it made him jump too. He turned around. He tapped him on the shoulder, and Biden turns around and jumps.
Oh yeah.
He forgot it was Easter.
And then he kept going in the rando direct. I mean, yeah, he probably thought it was Thanksgiving. What an idiot.
You thought he was getting ready to pardon the turkey.
That's a weird turkey.
That's a good-looking turkey. Remember when he gave a speech? He was in a portion of it wasn't the Rose Garden, but it was somewhere where there was a hedgerow behind him, and he gave a speech, and then he just started walking into the woods, and they had to stop it. Jumped about Joe, they had to stop him. It was like, oh, this way. And and he walked over. I mean, you laugh at it to keep from crying. And by the way, the same mainstream media that wants to wag their finger and moralize to you about not giving a damn about whether this El Salvadorian national is down in an El Salvadorian prison, this Garcia fella, this same media that wants to shame you for what you are or are not, or for what you think or what you don't think. That same media protected this dude for 4 years. They knew for 4 years. NBC, ABC, CBS, they all knew. Hashtag never see it in, they all knew. You knew because we told you. They all knew too. Joe Biden was not prepared to be president. He was not fully functioning as president. And by the way, that Joe Biden clip from a couple of years ago, or I don't know if it was last year or year before, at the White House Easter egg roll, they know when he's going to make an appearance, right? His handlers, the best he's going to be at any given day is when he's on camera. So that wandering Joe Biden, that wide-eyed wandering Joe Biden, that was the best he was that day. It only got worse from there. Consider it. We are lucky that more bad things did not happen during the Biden administration. And the Donald Trump administration for the last 91 days has attempted to repair a lot of the nonsense that went on, to include nonsense regarding illegal immigration activity. And there's much work to be done. And with the mountain of work that has to be done, with the immense number of people that are here illegally, and look, they've obviously been flooding into the United States of America long before the Donald Trump administration, long before the Joe Biden administration. But it was an exponential explosion of illegal alien activity during the Biden administration. Well, considering that, Donald Trump has an incredible amount of work to do. Will procedural mistakes be made? Well, sadly, yes. And there's been one prominent procedural mistake, inasmuch as this Garcia fella apparently was owed a hearing. And at very least, he should have been redetermined to be, one, an MS-13 member, which was already determined by 2 different courts and 2 different judges. Number 2, it could have easily been determined that the gang affiliation that he was concerned about back in El Salvador was no longer a problem, and he needed to be returned. We've now learned the reason that he's in that El Salvadorian prison, and they've actually moved him to some sort of halfway house now, the reason he's there is because he was a member of MS-13. And it is illegal to be or have ever been a member of MS-13 in El Salvador. That's how they cleaned up their country, by using the law to their advantage to clean up the gang activity that existed in that nation for so many years. That's an El Salvadorian decision, not an American decision. They're keeping him in jail because they know he was a member of MS-13. We know he was a member of MS-13. All God's children that have researched it knows that he's a member of MS-13. And over the weekend, the Trump folks put out a photo of his tattoo on his hand that designates him as a member of MS-13. And on top of the photo, it's a little, if you're watching on Super Talk TV, he's got his knuckles. And there are little designations on each knuckle. And each of them mean MS-13, MS-13, right? Well, they put the M and the S and the 1 and the 3 over his knuckles so that everybody would understand what those designations meant. And now the liberals are saying, that's not really there. They faked that. It's not. Stop it. Good Lord. Just stop with this. We'll continue this discussion, tell you the latest on Garcia from the state of Tennessee in a moment on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
4:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Heads up for a large police presence along Murfreesboro Pike in Antioch. Police looking for the suspect in a shooting today. They're using drones. Police say they'll be out there for several more hours, so you may want to avoid driving Murfreesboro Pike in the Antioch High School area because there will be delays. Student loan borrowers who are in default could be sent to collections soon. U.S. Department of Education put out a press release this afternoon saying collections and other actions will resume on May 5th for the first time since the pandemic. The department says as of today, more than 5 million student loan borrowers are in default. And the Vatican confirms Pope Francis died of a cerebral stroke and irreversible cardiocirculatory collapse. The Vatican also releasing the Pope's will, requesting a simple tomb in the earth. We get more from Inez de la Cutera in Vatican City.
His body will eventually be transferred here to St. Peter's Basilica for a public viewing, and we're expecting hundreds of thousands of people to come and pay their respect. There will then be a funeral mass, a burial, of course, and from then on we'll get into the next part of all of this, which is, of course, electing a new pope, a conclave. They're going to give the cardinals time to come to Rome for all of that.
And there's been another incident requiring the evacuation of a passenger jet, this time in Orlando.
As the Delta Airlines Airbus A330 was pushing back from the gate in Orlando, heading to Atlanta, an engine caught fire. There were 282 passengers, 10 flight attendants, and 2 pilots on board. Passengers evacuated down the emergency slides to get away from the fire. Delta says the flight crew followed procedure by evacuating the plane, and the maintenance teams will examine the aircraft. The fire was contained to the engine and was quickly out. Nobody was injured as passengers evacuated. Alex Stone, ABC News.
And this just in, Harvard suing the Trump administration over funding cuts. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Over by the airport, police reporting a crash. Off-ramp partially blocked, 40 eastbound to Donaldson Pike. And on the South Loop, looks like police reporting a crash, 65 northbound right before I-40. It's off on the right shoulder there, but you got to get over. Give first responders and whoever's working to clear that crash plenty of room. In Hillwood, police reporting a crash, right shoulder block, 40 westbound before Charlotte Pike. And just a reminder, got police activity investigating a shooting. They say they're going to be out along Murfreesboro Pike in the Antioch High School area. You might want to avoid that area because they're going to be busy there for several more hours. Traffic every 10 minutes, every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hello, friends. It's Matt Murphy, and the Wellness Institute of Nashville wants to see you. You guys that have pain in your back or your neck or your knees or your hips or your elbows, wherever it hurts, let Dr. Mitchell and Dr. Ashley take a look at you. Schedule that appointment today because, friends, let me tell you something. Without surgery, you can see pain relief through the Wellness Institute of Nashville. I know I made the switch, and I want you to as well. You can have a pain-free life. Enjoy the things that you used to do. Be happy with your life with no more back pain, neck pain, no more tingling in the arms or the legs. It is possible, and right now, you have the very special 47% off deal. That's right. In celebration of the 47th President of the United States of America, Donald J. Trump, 47% off their non-surgical spinal decompression. That's the big one, right? That's the one that I've utilized to alleviate my lower back pain and absolutely feel great as a result. 615-246-5009. That's 615-246-5009. Have a pain-free life. You can celebrate the spring and the summer and get back to activity again without having to worry about the need for surgery, thanks to the Wellness Institute of Nashville. My name is Matt Murphy, and the Wellness Institute of Nashville has my seal of approval. Super Talk 99.7 WTN, 39 minutes after. We'll get to your calls momentarily. 615-737-9986. A lot of you on the Super text line responding to our THC conversation. I got to tell you, I mean, and maybe it's unscientific, obviously, but I think it's probably 70-30. People don't have a problem with allowing others to do as they choose with regard to gummy activity or THC activity or even recreational marijuana use. That's at least from an unscientific analysis of the responses that we're getting on the Super text line, 615-737-9986. So I've got an update on the Abrego Garcia story. Obviously, there's a huge Tennessee angle on this, as Garcia was clearly bringing people back from Texas to Maryland. For what purpose? I mean, human trafficking is the conventional wisdom here. There was a belief in 2022 that he was engaged in human trafficking, and nothing was done about it. As a matter of fact, Joe Biden's FBI said, don't do anything, let him go. More on that coming up in just a moment. Why the Tennessee Highway Patrol decided to do it, I don't fault them. If you respond to what you believe is a federal issue, illegal immigration / human trafficking, and you engage in the federal authorities, and the federal authorities tell you to let them go, I guess you just follow the orders, comrade, I suppose. In the meantime, if this seems to be the hill that the Democrats want to die on, and if that's the case, I say bring it on. By now, the individual is well documented. I don't have to go over his past any further. The question that I had was why he was being held in CCOT, in the El Salvadorian prison. He was detained there because the El Salvadorians wanted him detained there because they know that he was a member of MS-13 and a fairly high-ranking member of MS-13, according to reports. His argument for staying in the United States of America in 2019 was due to his membership in MS-13. Literally arguing that because of his previous, now he called it previous gang membership, that the new rival gang that had taken over in El Salvador at the time, Barrio 18, would have had him killed had he been returned to El Salvador, which was why he was granted asylum in 2019. Well, those conditions don't exist in El Salvador anymore. If you want to make the case that he should have had a hearing indicating that those conditions do not exist anymore, fine. Because one of two things would have happened at that hearing. One, he would have either been returned to El Salvador as he was, or two, he would have been taken to a different country. Under no circumstances would he have been left in the United States of America. But it seems increasingly obvious that the Democrats care about an illegal alien gang member more than they do the American people. As evidenced by Democrat Senator Chris Van Hollen and his trip to El Salvador to meet with Garcia. And he eventually got to meet with him, and he was in a nice-looking shirt and hat, and apparently he's been moved to a different detention facility. Well, there were questions last Thursday when we were leaving the airwaves, and I suppose those questions continued on Friday. Who's paying for all of this? Well, Van Hollen has now admitted that the American taxpayer paid for his trip. Oh, and it's not by a long shot over. He admitted that his trip to El Salvador was paid for by the American tax-paying citizen. Van Hollen took heat from Republicans and one of his constituents. That would be Patty Morin. Now, you might know that name. She's the mother of a slain woman in Maryland. You know how many times Van Hollen has met with her? That would be 0. On Fox and Friends this morning, Caroline Leavitt, the incredible White House spokesperson, rebuked Van Hollen, and the American public said that they should know the truth. He's an illegal alien, a foreign terrorist, a criminal MS-13 gang member who violated our country's laws by coming here in the first place. Shame on Senator Chris Van Hollen and the entire Democrat Party who wasted Easter Sunday going on every television show in the country to advocate for the return of an illegal criminal gang member that doesn't belong in the United States of America. This is who the Democrat Party is for advocating. It's ridiculous, said Leavitt. Well, they're not done. 4 more. See, this is what Democrats do. What have I told you all about Democrats, right? That they double down on stupid all the time. When they somehow convince themselves that they have a winning hand, and they base what they consider to be a winning hand on the idea that all of you are stupid, and none of you are stupid. Y'all are the smartest listening audience on planet Earth. Well, they think you're dumb. We got that going for us. We got this going for us, too. They always overplay their hand, and the American people see through it. They see through their bluff. So Van Hollen, the Democrats think Van Hollen did a great thing. Oh, look at that meet and greet. Oh, look at those visuals. Oh, that's awesome. Look at that. And so now they want more of them. More of them want to go down there. So Representatives Robert Garcia of California, Maxwell Frost of Florida, Yasaman Ansari of Arizona, and Maxine Dexter of Oregon have now announced in a press release today that they have arrived in El Salvador. They're there. They're going to, quote, pressure the Trump administration to abide by a Supreme Court order to facilitate the return of Kilmar Abrego Garcia. The return of Garcia. You know, people ask me on occasion, Murphy, what would you want to happen? About, any subject matter. Now, I don't determine what happens, but here's what I would love to happen. I almost wish, and I don't believe the Trump administration is going to do this. They don't technically have the ability to do it because we cannot tell the El Salvadorian people through their government what to do with an El Salvadorian citizen. Garcia has nothing to do with this country. We don't have any authority to tell. I mean, it's not like he's an American citizen that they're holding, and we want to negotiate his release. He's an El Salvadorian. He didn't belong here. We have no say as to whether or not they hand him over. And the Supreme Court understood that, which is why they changed the verbiage of the order to facilitate, meaning to make it easy, to make it as easy as possible. Well, that means that if the El Salvadorian said, yes, we will hand him over, then we as a nation are required to bring him back. But here's what I would love to see. I would love to see, because we all know that we could do it if we wanted to, right? I mean, obviously. Just like Joe Biden could have shut down the southern border if he wanted to. Just like they could have prevented the infusion of 8 to 10 million illegal aliens over the course of 4 years. They could have done something about that if they wanted to, but they claimed they couldn't. The president could probably pick up the phone and tell the El Salvadorian president, hey, we want this dude back, and he could get him back, right? What I would love to see, that happen. I would love to see the president say, okay, the Supreme Court says that we should facilitate this, so we're going to abide by the Supreme Court ruling. And you get him on a plane, and you bring him back at taxpayer expense, sadly, and you can announce that. Look, this is what this trip is costing. It shouldn't cost us anything because the results are going to be the same. And you get him in front of a judge and let the judge determine whether or not there is still a danger in El Salvador for his return, and if there is, to send him to another country. There are plenty of countries that we have agreements with. Because Garcia is either going one of two places. He's either going back to El Salvador or he's going to a different country. He's not staying here. On no planet is he staying here. Right? The Democrats seem to think that if they pitch a temper tantrum, much like children in a grocery store wanting a piece of candy, if they scream and yell and stomp their feet long enough, they'll get their way. And they seem to believe that the Supreme Court has given them an avenue for success. What is imagine for a moment, what do you think victory looks like for them? What is victory for the Democrat Party right now? That a gang member of MS-13, known to be a gang member, gets to return, that we know for a fact entered the United States of America illegally in either 2009 or 2011. I've seen conflicting reports. But he was here for years before he was finally caught. And he was brought before a judge, and a deportation order was issued against Garcia in 2019. And he claimed asylum at that time. And his asylum claim was accepted at that time. But we know that he was a member of MS-13 because he said he was. That was his argument. So victory for them is that we see an individual that broke our laws allowed back into the country while American citizens continue to be abused and used and raped in some cases and killed by illegal alien activity. That's a victory for them. So they hate the president of the United States more than they want to abide by our immigration law. In the meantime, immigration law. In the meantime, gotaways on the southern border are next to zero. Illegal border crossings have gone from the tens of thousands to next to zero. Meanwhile, in 91 days under the Trump administration, they have managed to do what Joe Biden claimed he could not do. And the mainstream media doesn't cover that story. Of course they don't. The American people overwhelmingly support American sovereignty through border security. The American people overwhelmingly support deporting criminal illegal aliens. Overwhelmingly. In the meantime, Donald Trump on a Truth Social post said this: radical lunatic Democrats and their comrades in the fake news media are falsely making Kilmar Abrego Garcia out to be a very sweet and innocent person, which is a total, blatant, and dangerous lie. Garcia has been found by 2 separate courts to be a member of the violent killer gang MS-13, was in our country illegally and under a deportation order. It's despicable and un-American for liberals in the mainstream media to hate our country so much. be obsessed with protecting criminals instead of keeping our borders safe, streets and families safe. Those lying to the American people on behalf of violent criminals have to be held responsible by the agencies and the courts. Make America great again. The four Democrats argued, so I think we should acquiesce to their demands. These Democrats are demanding that he be brought back. We bring him back and we deport him. Either back to El Salvador immediately or back to a country of our choosing. And that is the end of that story. 51 after the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hello, friends. It's Matt Murphy, and U.S. Pest wants to help you with pest control and protection for your family and your home. And this is how it works. If you currently have a pest control provider, we want you to switch to U.S. Pest. Ask about the specials that they have available for those of you switching. If you don't currently have a provider, my goodness gracious, you are under threat. You are under siege, whether you know it or not. You're under siege by fire ants and ticks and fleas and roaches and spiders and termites and every other bug imaginable. They will descend on your home if left unchecked, and they will get inside of your walls, and they will eat what's yours, and they will enjoy the cool of the AC, or they'll enjoy the warmth in the winter months. I mean, it's what bugs do. Let's stop all of this through crawl space protection, termite protection, and full-service pest control with U.S. Pest. They are the best at pest control. USPest.com online, or give them a call at 590-1260. JK and Erica await your call. They have qualified agents ready to go. 590-1260. That's 615-590-1260, or online at USPest.com.
The federal government says it will resume student loan debt recovery next month. And Harvard is suing the Trump administration. Funeral arrangements for Pope Francis. All this and more at 5 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Oh, expect the wailing and gnashing of teeth amongst the 20-somethings.
We can't pay our student loan. We didn't know that we were supposed to repay it.
Maybe they shouldn't have been smoking marijuana cigarettes.
Maybe so. You know what? They should have been smoking those harmless cigarettes as opposed to those marijuana cigarettes. Masquerading. Yeah, see?
Reefers.
Those reefers. So I don't know if y'all have seen this story. Hold on a second. Oh, here it is. Last week, I missed this last week, and I apologize for missing it. Tennessee native and NASA astronaut Butch Wilmore. I'm sure you reported on it, Weaver, where he was honored by the Tennessee General Assembly. Did you see this?
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. I'm sure you did, and I missed it somehow. Tennessee House of Representatives last week honored Wilmore, who was born in Murfreesboro and grew up in MJ, Mount Juliet, my adopted hometown. Arrived at the International Space Station in June. We probably wouldn't have thought much of it had it gone off without a hitch, in as much as he, along with Suni Williams, were there for about a week-long stay aboard the Boeing Starliner flight. They were going to stay at the International Space Station. Well, the spacecraft returned to Earth in September without Williams and Wilmore after NASA decided the flight was too risky because of a number of mechanical issues, and that led to a almost 9-month stay. Williams and Wilmore returned safely to Earth March 18th. After beginning the House floor session last week, Wilmore was honored with a reading of HJR 0517, a resolution recognizing a pioneering career with the U.S. Navy and NASA. The resolution was passed unanimously and obviously signed by the governor, Bill Lee, last week. Congratulations to Butch Wilmore, Tennessee native, our own, and NASA astronauts. After spending the better part of 9 months in space, he does the state of Tennessee proud, and we thank him for that. Scathing Alito dissent to come in the 5 o'clock hour. Plus, MSNBC is attempting to scare the hell out of black Americans. There was a hands-off rally in Franklin. I asked a friend of mine what they were protesting. That friend said, apparently, everything. We'll talk about it next on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Five o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. The federal government will resume student loan debt recovery next month. The U.S. Department of Education put out a news release this afternoon. It says all borrowers in default will get an email from federal student aid urging them to set up monthly payments, enroll in an income-driven repayment plan, or sign up for loan rehabilitation. Later this summer, notices will start going out on wage garnishment. Harvard is suing the Trump administration over freezing $2 billion in grants for Harvard's refusal to end DEI hiring and admissions policies.
This is a special report from ABC News. I'm Michelle Franzen. Following his death today, the Vatican says Pope Francis suffered a cerebral stroke followed by a coma. It follows a months-long battle with pneumonia. ABC's Aaron Katursky has more on the services that will take place for the Pope.
Eventually, his body will be moved from his residence, where it was placed in a simple casket, to St. Peter's for lying in state, and the public can pay respects. And we would expect tens of thousands of people from all over the world to come and pay tribute to Pope Francis.
President Trump will be among the dignitaries attending the Pope's funeral. Earlier today, he lowered flags be lowered to half-staff in honor of the Pope. Cardinals will then gather privately to choose his successor. Cardinals and bishops and archbishops run those dioceses, but when they become a cardinal, the main role is to advise the Pope and elect the next one.
Now, the U.S. Supreme Court today hearing arguments from employees lawyers who are challenging Obamacare coverage of some preventative health care services on religious grounds, specifically medication to reduce HIV spread. The plaintiffs allege members of the U.S. Preventive Services Task Force, who are appointed and supervised by the Health and Human Services Secretary, are not properly appointed, and they have too much power, and lower federal courts agreed. Meta says it's cracking down on teenagers suspected of lying about their age. Here's Mike Dubusky.
Using artificial intelligence, Meta now says it's going to automatically place users suspected of being underage into a more restrictive form of account on Facebook and Instagram. Teen accounts were rolled out last year and limit who can see and who can message with a teenager's profile.
Uber is being sued by the federal government. Federal Trade Commission alleging the rideshare and delivery company is charging people for its Uber One subscription service without their consent, failing to deliver promised savings, making it too hard to cancel the service despite its cancel anytime promises. The press release says the Trump-Vance FTC is fighting back on behalf of the American people. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, the screen shows police still reporting a crash 24 westbound on-ramp from Shelby Avenue over on the East Loop. Then in Whites Creek, police say there's a crash 24 westbound after Old Hickory Boulevard. And in Smyrna, well, never mind. That just erased, and that was going to be 24, but it looks like that may have been resolved. Nope, it has not been resolved. Just popped up on the screen again. So here we go. Highway Patrol reporting a crash 24 westbound at Sam Ridley Parkway. Now in Hermitage, TDOT reporting a crash blocking the right shoulder 40 westbound after Stewart's Ferry Pike. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hello, friends. It is the Matt Murphy Radio Show, underway for another hour, 5:07. Thank you for being with us on this Monday edition. Happy to have you along for the ride, whatever time you're able to give us. We're certainly appreciative of it. We've got another 2 hours to go, and we've got a lot to get into. I mean, there's much going on. Obviously, we have been covering, if you're just joining us, just getting in your automobile, fresh off work, Ken Weaver just alerting you to the multiple traffic accidents that are out there. I hope it's there when you get there. Be safe as you travel around the roadways. And we wish you the best if you're out on the loop, because it looks nasty. At least it did the last time I looked at at a lot of red on the screen. Let's put it that way. You may give us a call, 615-737-9986. If we offer an opinion on a subject matter that you would like to talk about, the phone lines are always available for you on the Matt Murphy Radio Show, 615-737-9986. Brother Shocky's been waiting for some time to talk about marijuana, so we'll do that in just a second. We were discussing that because of some of the THC laws that have been passed by the Tennessee General Assembly over the last several days. We were noting some of those new restrictions on THC that were passed just before 4/20. Now, 4/20 being the date, April the 20th. Now, speaking of the General Assembly, it's my understanding, and I just got this report in from the redheaded stranger herself, Pamela Furr, that the House of Representatives, by a vote of 89-6, has just passed the second reading of the property tax prohibition for the state. And now it will go to a vote of the people. Now, for those unfamiliar with this process, let me explain it to you. Because, frankly, I just learned about it several months ago. And it's a little bit confusing if you don't understand it. But in order for something to go before the people to change the Constitution of the state of Tennessee, it has to have two readings before the House and the Senate in two, I believe, consecutive or subsequent years in the General Assembly session. In the first reading, it has to receive a simple majority. In the second reading, same legislation, it has to receive a 2/3 majority. Last year, this piece of legislation that will now go before a vote of the people, as long as it is signed by I don't even think it has to be signed by the governor, honestly. Y'all correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think if something goes before the people, it goes to the governor's desk. But so right now, the property taxes that you pay are local property taxes. Local municipalities charge you a certain amount of money based on your property evaluation. And I'm going to talk more about that regarding Davidson County in just a moment, because there was just a reevaluation. And many of you got your notices in the mail, and you were shocked to find that your property had gone up in value by 45% or thereabouts. Anyway, the state has a property tax. There is the ability for the State General Assembly to charge you a tax on your property statewide. That tax rate is currently set at 0. So you do not pay state property taxes. But should the state decide that they need money, or for whatever reason, or maybe, somehow magically the state turns blue and those tax and spend liberals want to get some more of your money, they have currently the ability to initiate a state property tax. And if they wanted to, they could pass a vote, and it could be signed by a governor, and, suddenly you're paying a percentage of your income to state property taxes, in addition to the local property taxes you already pay. So there has been a movement to make sure that that never happens, and that movement involves passing a referendum or a bill in the House and the Senate that would then go to a vote of the people, and the people of the state of Tennessee would decide whether or not they wanted to permanently eliminate the ability from a constitutional standpoint. And I believe this was the manner in which the state income tax was handled several years ago. There was a push to get a state income tax. This was before my time, but obviously so many of the folks on Supertalk 99.7 WTN and listeners of Supertalk 99.7 WTN were very instrumental in making sure that a state income tax didn't happen in the state of Tennessee. And at the time, they were screaming about how much they needed money and how the state was in dire straits and all that. I mean, it was a big enough story that I certainly heard about it in Alabama at the time that it occurred. One way or the other, that was passed, and the people determined that no more would we have a state income tax or any discussion about a state income tax? Well, the same wants to be done for property taxes. So the Senate had already passed this by a 2/3 majority, and today the House of Representatives has now passed it 89-6. That means that not this year, but next August of 2026, if I understand correctly, there will be a referendum on the ballot that would permanently eliminate constitutionally the ability for the state to tax your property. You will still pay local taxes on your property. This does not impact local property tax, but it does impact the ability for the state to tax your property. That rate is currently 0, but it could go up. And we want to prevent that. So that happens not this year, but next year during the next statewide election. And that would be the primary for governor. And if I'm not mistaken, that would be in August of 2026. So that's good news that we pass along to you. I have some bad news regarding property taxes, and I'll get into that in just a moment after I talk with Brother Shockey, who's been holding for some time. Hello, brother. Thank you for your hold.
Hey, thanks for taking my call there, Mark, on a Super Token 99.7 WTN. Dragnet, Biden, Harris, Dolly Parton, keep me in line here. Dragnet had an episode where Joe Friday busts an acid dealer, and he's given his like moral speech to him and everything like that, and he says, you see, marijuana is the match, heroin is the fuse, LSD is the bomb. LSD is the bomb.
I'm following.
No, that's
was that a joke?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. All right, do it again. Do it, Brother Shockey. Do it again. Do it again. Do it again.
Okay.
Do it again. Do it again.
Marijuana is the match.
Uh-huh.
Heroin is the fuse.
Uh-huh.
LSD is the bomb.
Oh!
There we go.
Zinger!
Okay, Biden Harris, because you brought that up. Back in December, you were lamenting the pending irrelevancy of the Biden-Harris hotkeys. And what I missed the most is whenever one of them was in the news and you would tease the story, you would say, coming up, we got moron Joe Biden and we got moron Kamala Harris. And I don't know if you realized that you were calling them morons or not, but that's what I miss. Now, Dolly Parton, missing a huge opportunity here. She needs to put out a compilation CD album and call it Dolly's Biggest Hits.
You should have led with that one.
Son, if you're going to be on this radio station, you're going to have to stay off the drugs.
Dolly's Biggest Hits.
What you do is you just don't have a space in between the biggest and the hits.
Right,
You know,
that's right.
just kind of
That's
run.
right. You just run through it. I still don't get the bomb joke, but that made up for it. It was worth the effort. It was
He
worth
should have
the
done
wait.
it like Joe Friday talked. Remember the old Dragnet
Yeah.
guys?
Just the facts, man.
Just the facts, man.
Oh, it's a great show. Joe Friday. I mean, Jack Webb didn't put up with any guff.
No, sir.
Not with them dopers and hipsters. Those dopers didn't stand a chance from Joe Friday.
Dungarees.
Dungarees.
Remember, that's what Les Nessman called rock and rollers. Dungarees.
Dungarees. I remember we used to watch, what was on Nick at Night? Dragnet was on Nick at Night.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I remember watching Joe Friday on Nick at Night with his buddy that eventually went to MASH, had to go to war.
Yeah.
Colonel
Potter.
Oh, yeah.
Morgan, God, what was his name?
Harry Morgan.
Harry Morgan, yeah.
Harry Morgan was on Dragnet with Jack Webb.
Jack Webb.
Oh, so good. It's just the facts, man. I wish I could recreate it. I don't think I have a Jack Webb impersonation, but yeah. Yeah, he didn't put up with the dopers and the hipsters.
No, sir.
And those hippies and those, bathing.
Dungarees.
Those dungarees. Oh, speaking, I don't know why I thought of this while I was talking about the dopesters and the hipsters, but Governor Tina Kotek of Oregon, isn't she out in Oregon? Yeah, Governor of Oregon. That's her name, Tina Kotek. I might be mispronouncing it. Am I saying it wrong, Ken?
There's not an X on the end of that.
No, her name is Kotek.
Okay, just checking.
I got
Kotek.
Okay.
How would y'all pronounce that?
Oregon Governor Tina Kotek.
Thank you. And Tina wants everybody to know. And I didn't. You could have put a gun to my head and said, "We're going to fire off if you don't name the governor of Oregon," and I would be dead right now. So I don't know this woman from Adam's House Cat, but apparently she wants you to know that she's a lesbian.
Oh, that's good.
Well, that's nice.
All right.
But she has written 5 hours ago on the X machine.
Yeah.
Governor Tina Kotek. I see why am I? You know what the kids, that's in case you missed it.
Oh, okay.
I see why am I? In case you missed it. I'm one of 2 lesbians who hold the title of governor in the United States. Who do you think?
All right.
Who do you think the other one is?
Probably another liberal state.
Yeah,
Would be
Whitmer.
my guess.
What do you think? Whitmer. What do you think?
Oh, yeah. Could be.
This is only going to get me into
That
trouble.
governor of Maine.
Oh, that Maine governor. I bet you might be right, Ken. That Maine governor, the one that wants the boys to play in the girls' sports.
Right.
Yeah, probably her. Well, hey, wouldn't it be funny if the other lesbian governor had not talked about it, and so this lesbian governor was outing the other lesbian governor?
Outs her.
Nope. It's she's out.
Okay.
And it is Governor Maura Hegley of Massachusetts.
Oh, well, there.
Maura Healey, rather. Excuse me.
Maura Healey.
Yeah.
Maura Healey.
Well, Governor Healey, congratulations on a condition that you have spent your entire life telling us that you had no control over. Congratulations.
So I guess, did the governor of Oregon think everybody wanted to know?
Well, Ken, I'm glad you asked, because whether you knew it or not, this week is a very important week. April 21st through the 27th is Lesbian Visibility Week.
Okay.
Governor Tina Kotek says, in case you missed it, I'm one of 2 lesbians who hold the title of governor in the United States. I'm proud to live in and serve a state where every person can be their authentic selves. And she had a little slide there on the X machine, April 21st through the 27th, Lesbian Visibility Week. May I say, I'm well on record. I've got 25 years, a quarter of a century of documented evidence that I don't give one single damn how you live your life. I do not. But may I ask, how in the hell could lesbians be more visible? I honestly don't know how you could become more visible than you already are. And tell me the state where you're not allowed to be your authentic self.
That's the whole thing, man.
I mean, in California, you better not wear a Trump hat.
No.
You know what I'm saying? You better not walk the streets of Chicago with a President 47 paraphernalia on. You get your ass beat. So the only states that I know of that you aren't allowed to be your authentic self would be liberal states that do not abide conservatism or conservatives at all or Trump supporters at all. But I don't know of any state in the United States of America where you're not allowed, quote unquote, to be your authentic self. These people are living in a fantasy world that no longer exists. For you gay people in the listening audience, I think most of you already know this, but I've been a part of I've been a part of what was your cause back in the day, because I've never cared how you live your life. I never want you to interfere with how I live mine, and I would not care how you live yours. I want to protect those that are not mature enough to make personal and those types of decisions for themselves. But at the same time, if you're an adult and you're law-abiding, I don't give a rip how you lead your life, and never have. So I say this without fear of hypocrisy. How in the hell are you not living your authentic life? And most of you already know that you are. And by the way, congratulations. If the fight was for, quote, equal rights in terms of your ability to get married and your ability to get divorced and your ability to go to divorce court and your ability to pay alimony and your ability to pay child support and all of those things, you won. Congratulations. But you can't, you see, you cannot identify an oppressor without pretending to be oppressed. And that's what Governor Tina Kotek, and that's the serious side of this. Governor Tina Kotek has to pretend to be oppressed as a lesbian. She's not. But she has to pretend to be. Because otherwise, she can't point fingers at the oppressor, which is part and parcel of being a liberal, is that someone has to be victimizing you. And without being victimized, you don't have a victimizer, and vice versa. So congratulations. I don't know how you could be more visible, but let's all celebrate Lesbian Visibility Week on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Grace Point Healthcare delivers medicine affordably. It's transparent pricing, upfront pricing, so you know exactly what your medical costs are going to be when you walk through the door. Friends, it's a direct pay primary care physicians, Grace Point Healthcare, that I'm here to tell you about, and I love the way that they do their business. They say that they're modern medicine delivered the old-fashioned way, and it is true. They have the most modern medical techniques, and you'll see it when you walk into the practice in the heart of Franklin. It is a basic smart care plan I want to tell you about. So if you sign up for the basic smart care plan, and you don't have to, you can go in as a new patient and you can pay by the visit. Or you can sign up for the smart care plan, and for $69 a month, you have unlimited office visits throughout the course of the year, plus free basic labs and diagnostic testing. That's the way to go, in my opinion. But if you'd like to pay as you go, you can do that as well. And it's same-day or next-day service, even for new patients, which is unheard of in the medical industry nowadays, but not so at Grace Point Healthcare. Plus, they're a military veteran-owned practice, which I absolutely love, supporting our military veterans. Patients are treated naturally. I love that as well. They're not beholden to insurance companies, folks. They're not beholden to pharmaceutical companies. They're beholden to you. They're true customers. Grace Point Healthcare. Call them today at 599-6868, 599-6868. Modern medicine delivered the old-fashioned way. Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy for Cover Nash and Shane Ring. Shane Ring is a local guy. He is not a call center agent. He is a finance and insurance expert. And when I say finance and insurance, this is what I mean. He helps you with your financial insurance needs, meaning, do you know how much you're paying right now? Do you understand how much you're paying for insurance versus what your coverage truly is? Do you know what medical procedures are costing these companies? And do you know how to shop and compare rates from various providers? Well, Shane Ring can teach you all of those things, and he can help save you money in the process. Plus, he makes makes sure that your health plan works for you, not the other way around. CoverNash wants you to be informed about your health care coverage. Don't wait until open enrollment. That's not the way to go. Let Shane Ring get you a health plan that pays you, not the other way around. Health coverage tailored for your needs, and not health coverage that is selected by the government. Health care coverage that is picked by you. CoverNash shops the entire market. They do not behold themselves to just one insurance company. They work for you, not for the insurance companies. Go to covernash.com to find out more information. That's covernash.com, or call 615-465-0023. 465-0023 for Shane Ring and CoverNash.
The Trump administration says student loan borrowers in default better start paying up. Details coming up at 5:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. Davidson County property values have gone up according to the people assessing your property. If you live in Davidson County, I don't need to tell you this, but we need to talk about it, and we will do so in the coming moments on the show. Davidson County property values, according to articles by the Tennessean and many of you who have alerted me to the fact, have jumped by an average of, wait for it now, 45%. You don't have to wait. Since 2021, unseating a record high increase set just 2 appraisal cycles ago. Davidson County Assessor of Property Vivian Wilhoit released the latest batch of reappraised property values just the other day, April 18th, the culmination of a 4-year cycle that plays a key and critical role in determining how much Nashvillians will be paying in property taxes later this year. New property value notices have been mailed to Nashville homeowners. They've also been updated online. Here's what to know. It wasn't that long ago that a 45% increase, according to this article, would have seemed a clerical error. A decade ago, Nashvillians were grappling with an estimated 33 to 37% average increase in residential property values, a massive jump from the 5.3% average increase at the end of the appraisal cycle that ended in 2013. This year's reappraisal set a record high for the second time since 2017. In a news release announcing the property value notices have been mailed, Will Hoyt noted that Davidson and Nashville have continued, quote, to experience exponential growth in the real estate market since 2021. It's reflected countywide. The median increase by a Metro Nashville Council District, while the county's median increase is 45%, the numbers range from 38 to 54%. Obviously, the Forest Hills, Green Hills, Bellevue area, that's 54%. District 35 in Bellevue, 52%. West Nash and Belmead, 52%. Madison, 51%. Priest Lake, 50%. District 30, Southeast Nashville, 50%, and on it goes. So what does this mean for you? It means that Freddie O'Connell's about to raise your property taxes. And I will explain why to you in just a moment. We'll also have Ninkapoops in the news for you as well, a favored segment on the Matt Murphy Radio Show. But all of that comes after the news, and the news happens right now on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.5:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories, and we've got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Well, the Trump administration says student loan borrowers who are in default on their loans had better start paying up. The move to resume collections in 2 weeks is expected to impact millions of borrowers who've long stopped repaying their student loans. The Education Department says it will end a confusing limbo for borrowers that began 5 years ago at the start of the pandemic. If those who are behind on their loans don't take steps to begin making payments, the government will start garnishing wages later this year. Harvard University is pushing back, suing the Trump administration in response to the government's decision to freeze billions of dollars in funding for the school.
The lawsuit filed in Massachusetts federal court calls the administration's funding freeze unlawful. University President Alan Garber says the school is taking a stand for the values that have made American higher education a beacon for the world. Last week, a multi-agency Trump administration task force said it would freeze more than $2 billion in multi-year grants, saying Harvard hadn't done enough to guard against on-campus harassment of its Jewish students.
Stephen Portnoy reporting. Masses and services around the world after the death today of Pope Francis. The Vatican doctor in the death certificate says it was a stroke and irreversible heart failure that took his life today at the age of 88. What happens next is steeped in hundreds of years of tradition.
Eventually, his body will be moved from his residence, where it was placed in a simple casket, to St. Peter's for lying in state, and the public can pay respects. And we would expect tens of thousands of people from all over the world to come and pay tribute to Pope Francis.
President Trump and possibly the First Lady expected to attend the funeral later this week. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, still see police reporting a crash 24 westbound after Old Hickory Boulevard. And then in Hermitage, right shoulder blocked. TDOT says it's 40 westbound after Stewart's Ferry Pike. The Highway Patrol says there's a crash in Smyrna, 24 westbound at Sam Ridley Parkway. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Have you met Dr. Brian McLaughlin? By now, you know the name Dr. Stephen Poss. You need to get to know the name Dr. Brian McLaughlin because he is the brand new guy. Well, not brand new. He's been there about a year now at the Sleep Apnea and TMJ Solution Center. Friends, if you're having trouble sleeping, if you don't know why, but if you're waking up throughout the course of the night, might I suggest that you may have sleep apnea? Do you snore? Has your partner noted this? Well, if you have sleep apnea, any version of mild to moderate sleep apnea, it's time for you to get with Dr. McLaughlin, Dr. Poss, and the rest of the crew at the Sleep Apnea and TMJ Solution Center. Their treatment is specifically for folks who perhaps cannot tolerate wearing a CPAP or don't believe that their sleep apnea merits a CPAP. It is a fabricated oral appliance, FDA approved and clinically proven, and proven by yours truly. Who's got two thumbs and wears one of these devices? Yours truly. That would be Matt Murphy. And I approve it. By the way, they're in network with most insurance in the state of Tennessee, and they're a community care provider to the VA. They're helping veterans sleep better and live better lives. They have a 5-star Google review, and it is growing weekly. And let me tell you something. These folks know what they're doing. Contact the Sleep Apnea and TMJ Solution Center in Murfreesboro, in Brentwood, and let them know that I sent you. Go to TennesseeSleep.com. That's TennesseeSleep.com for more info for the Sleep Apnea and TMJ Solution Center.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
Weather can change in an instant. and you need to be prepared for any outcome. That's why Generator Supercenter of Nashville will help keep your family safe and connected. We make buying a backup generator simple and easy, with financing options available, free in-home estimate, turnkey installations, no worry warranty, and most importantly, the monitoring and service of your fully installed generator. Come see us at our location in Nashville or visit us online. Generator Supercenter of Nashville. We serve all Middle Tennessee.
All right, getting into the Alito dissent. Over the weekend, you might have missed it. It was like late into the night, Saturday night or Sunday morning. I mean, I guess it was Friday night into Saturday morning or Saturday. The Supreme Court decided to issue an emergency hold on further deportations by the Trump administration. It was a 7-2 vote, and Samuel Alito was having none of it. I'm going to read some of the dissent for you, and I believe he's exactly right on the weekend SCOTUS emergency order. That is upcoming. MSNBC is trying to scare the hell out of black folks, but what else is new? That is upcoming as well. And plus, we've got, obviously, Ninkapoops in the news. Before we get to Ninkapoops in the news, man, I have this. We don't normally do Today in History. I used to do that all the time. Morning radio, Today in History.
Oh,
yes.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, Today in History, on this day, April 21st, 1918, the notorious German flying ace, known as the Red Baron, was killed by Allied fire on April 21st, 1918.
Wow.
Also seen in the vicinity was a little dog flying in on top of his doghouse.
Doghouse, yeah.
Yeah.
Scarf flying behind him.
With little goggles on.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Little yellow bird as a tail gunner.
Oh, absolutely. I used to love Woodstock, the way Woodstock would fuss at Snoopy.
The little character asterisks.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
Stuff, all that flying
I
above
get
his
so
head.
frustrated at Snoopy. Get so mad at him. Anyway, that's of note. The German flying, what was his name? Baron Manfred von Richthofen. Notorious German flying ace. It just makes me think of Snoopy and the Red Baron. So
I know, man.
And I love that song, so I just wanted to throw that in there. I just want to get it in your head. It's time for Ninkapoops in the news.
Ninkapoops in the news.
Boy, oh boy. I mean, we could pick from any number of subject matters actually in the real news nowadays to include these 7 justices that decided to throw an extreme emergency order over the weekend. But we don't do that on Ninkapoops in the news. Here, we try to find the offbeat, the wild, the wacky, whether it's in the state of Tennessee, across the United States of America, or around the globe. That's what we're here for. It's Ken Weaver. It's Chris Webber. It's Matt Murphy. It's time for Ninkapoops in the news. Y'all got some Ninkapoops?
I do.
Hopefully.
I got one, too.
Yep.
I'm willing to let someone else go first before I win.
You must be pretty confident about your nincompoop.
I am quite confident that I have a victory coming today.
Oh, yeah.
I'll go first.
All right.
I'll go first.
Very confident. All right.
Y'all remember the movie starring Samuel L. Jackson involving snakes on a plane?
I never saw it, but I know it.
Heard about that.
Yeah, Samuel L. Jackson famously said, "I'm tired of these bleepity-bleep snakes on this bleepity-bleep plane."
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah.
Well, I take you to a passenger flight over the continent of Europe, where a passenger reportedly, according to The Sun, quote, went berserk, end quote, at 30,000 feet and sparked an emergency that convinced pilots that they needed to land the plane early because he said that there were snakes running loose on the plane.
Oh, boy.
Apparently, the passenger, well, I'll get into what he was wearing in just a moment.
Uh-oh.
Families looked on in horror as the flyer became abusive and threatening and repeatedly screamed, "Snakes on the plane! Snakes on the plane!" The pilots became so concerned about the safety of Saturday's 3 p.m. flight from Gatwick Airport to Morocco that they made the decision to land early in Portugal. Police and emergency services lined the runway as the plane landed. Cops came aboard and escorted the snake-fearing passenger off the Airbus A320 with about 180 passengers and crews on board. The flight took off again after a complete and thorough examination of the plane revealed no snakes.
Huh, imagine that.
Imagine that. The harrowing events brought back terrifying memories of the 2006 cult classic Snakes on a Plane, starring Samuel L. Jackson, in which dozens of venomous snakes were released on a passenger plane in an attempt to kill a trial witness.
No question about what that movie's about, right? Right out of the gate, you know.
Snakes on a plane.
There's going to be snakes
on the plane.
Yeah.
And you said this was in Portugal?
This was, they landed in Portugal.
Okay.
Anyway. A source told The Sun, "It sounds funny to hear passengers screaming about snakes on the plane, but it was scary for the families on the flight. No one quite knew what was going on or initially if the flyer had actually seen snakes on the plane. However, it soon became apparent that the flyer was either so drunk or on illegal drugs that he was imagining things. You see, he was in such a state, he was wearing a shirt that had snakes on the shirt. And he began hallucinating that the snakes were real.
Cobras no avião! Cobras no avião!
I'm assuming that's Portuguese for snakes on a plane.
Yes, sir.
The diversion meant a frustrating 4-hour delay for passengers, but I'm proud to note that they were A, no snakes on the plane, and B, they got to their destination safely. No word on what happened to the young man who was detained by Portuguese authorities.
He was eaten by a snake.
Maybe so. There you go. Mr. Weber?
All right, mine comes from Nevada and also involves a critter. Multiple critters, actually. 71-year-old man from Nevada was arrested after authorities seized 7 tigers, which he claimed were all his emotional support animals that he kept inside his home. Authorities reportedly raided Carl Mitchell's home in Pahrump, a town 65 miles west of Las Vegas, back on March 2nd, saying the man did not have the proper permits to keep the animals. In an interview, Nye County Sheriff Joe McGill told the outlet that the 71-year-old had been seen walking the wild animals on and off his desert property, and that posts on social media showed him allowing others to interact with the tigers, both of which were violations of the law.
No, he won't bite.
No.
Yeah, no, he's fine. He's just a pussycat. For his part, Mitchell allegedly claimed he did not need the special condition animal permits because the tigers, according to a lawsuit he filed against Nye County in 2020, had already been recognized by county officials as his emotional support animals. He also claimed that the tigers did not pose any threat to the public.
Yeah.
In another twist, Mitchell says that he rescued the tigers from, you guessed it, Joe Exotic.
Really?
Oh.
The Oklahoma zookeeper who was the center of the Netflix series Tiger King.
Tiger King.
As for Mitchell, he was arrested and booked for resisting a peace officer and being a felon in possession of a gun during the March 2nd raid. He was released after posting a $6,000 bail.
What, a dude with a bunch of tigers has a felony on his record? I'm shocked.
No. The tigers were taken to an undisclosed sanctuary where they will be held until ordered to be released.
What was that fella's name again, Brother Chris?
His name was Carl Mitchell.
Carl Mitchell.
Oh, cold Carl.
Carl with a K.
Well, I'll be.
Yeah, poor Carl. I mean, what's he going to do without his emotional support?
He's not going to make it. He's going to be a wreck.
What's new, pussycat? Whoa, 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 whoa. I mean, it won't hurt. These animals won't hurt a fly.
No, sir.
No.
Just big old kitty cat.
You know, the difference between dogs and cats, if you stay motionless for a little while, cat will eat you. I don't care what size cat. I'm serious. How many stories do we have to hear about cat ladies who, pass away peacefully, and then by the time the authorities get in there and
Really?
Oh, Ken, you have been shielded from these things. Oh, all the time. Where grandma dies and the cat's got nothing to eat, so what are they going to do?
Got to do what you got to do.
You got to do what you got to do, Ken. Got to keep on living, man.
Whew, Livin.
Just keep on living. Mr. Weaver, your Ninkapoops, sir.
Cobras, no avion! All right, boys, this is out of Westerly, Rhode Island. Right. It is from WJAR. Like a meteor fell from the sky. Multiple homes in a Rhode Island town sustained damage after rocks flew from a nearby quarry during scheduled blasting last week.
Stunned, just absolutely stunned. Nothing like this has happened before.
That's neighborhood resident Alex McCall describing how it was to get home and find a huge hole in his kitchen ceiling.
I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it.
Just a few houses down, there was another home with another hole.
After the explosion, I see a rock come flying and land in the middle of the road.
That's resident Nate Harrington. The town says the rocks came flying from a nearby quarry during blasting. Oh. Some rocks were the size of a baseball. Others were larger than a size 11 shoe. Whoa. Now, I don't know where they got that.
It's a strange thing.
Very specific size.
Like, the size of a baseball or maybe a basketball. Boys, that thing looks like it's about as big as a size 11 shoe.
Oh, I like that. That thing's as big as a size 12 shoe. Come on, guy. That's no bigger than an 11.
Exaggerate.
Let's not be crazy.
Yeah.
Well, this fella says the debris nearly crashed into cars.
If someone was outside, they would have gotten nailed. They would have gotten really hurt.
So neighbors said the quarry is approximately 200 yards, only 200 yards away from the houses, and they were blasting it. This has happened 4 other times dating back to 2018. They start blasting and rocks fall all over the neighborhood.
You imagine hey, fellas, y'all get any of that on you? We're sorry about that. Right?
We never thought that would happen.
We didn't think that would happen again.
Well, yeah. 2 Westerly Department of Public Works employees had to go to the hospital after being hit by granite during a scheduled blast.
Rocks are flying in people's houses. It's just ridiculous. It's just not right. And the town, somebody has to stop it.
So this reporter caught up to somebody from the blasting company to ask, what's up, bud? And he says, no comment. Even though he was going door to door to answer questions, he didn't want to be asked by the media.
Rob was no bigger than a size 8.
Anyway, I checked, and I have yet to confirm, but there are reports the person pulling the caps may have been naked.
What was he screaming, Ken?
Cobras, no avion!
Can you? I'm just imagining the next city council meeting. There's people just calmly like, is it too much to ask that rocks stop flying from the sky? Just
some guy walks in with a big sack and just slings them up on
just throwing it out there.
I mean, they're only 200 yards from this thing.
Good Lord. We never thought it would happen a 4th time.
Right.
That's how we play Ninkapoops in the news, y'all. 3 good candidates for you. You may vote on the super text line, 615-737-9986, 615-737-9986. Ken Weaver, Chris Webber, Matt Murphy. Matt Murphy or Matt Murphy? It's 10 until the top of the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So, friends, not only does Savory Spice provide incredible flavors for all of your cooking needs, and they got them. They got all the international flavors, all the normal seasonings that you would want. They got great blends of seasoning. They've got pre-made Spice and Easy line of products that all you have to do is put the food in, you put the spices in the crock pot, and there you go, and 8 hours later you have a delicious meal. But they're also intrepid reporters in Franklin, because Holly was the one that alerted me to the fact that there was a little protest going on downtown, that hands-off off protest. She offered anybody that wanted some free spices and free flavors as they protested in downtown Franklin, just off the square over the weekend. In all seriousness, folks, for all of your spice needs, for all of your cooking needs, whether it's something that you're cooking on the grill or maybe a delicious dish that you're making for the family, get them at Savory Spice. They're good people. They're locally owned, and they have the finest spices available. Plus, I've mentioned this, about 25% of their stock, they have reduced the price on that stock. They pass those reductions on to you, and they get reduced from the supplier, and that means you get the reductions as well. The one and only Savory Spice, located just off the square in Franklin. Tell Holly, David, and the rest of the crew, Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice.
And the Trump administration's going to be resuming student loan collections soon. We'll tell you about that coming up at 6 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN, Matt Murphy, Ken Weaver, Chris Weber. It looks like my prediction came true, but I have Ken Weaver to thank for several votes.
Oh, yeah? Why?
Because several people indicated that they're voting for my story, but mainly because you kept screaming in Portuguese that there were snakes on the plane.
Cobras, no avião!
Although I did a little research during the break there, Ken, and I've discovered that our passenger spoke Spanish, so we're going to have to go with Serpientes a bordo el avión.
Okay.
Who says I don't do research for the show?
That's way to go, Brother Murphy.
I just Spanish for snakes on a plane. And
yes, sir.
Serpientes a bordo avión.
At least he didn't say, I'm sick and tired of these Monday to Friday snakes on this. What was the other thing? Monday to Friday snakes on this.
Monday to Friday.
Well, I can't remember.
I'm staying away from it. I'm a little worried.
The TV edit,
Oh, is that what the TV edit says?
Yeah, Monday to Friday snakes on this. I forget what he says.
Awesome.
I think everybody that went to see that movie because of that line. Because, I mean, and give them credit. The marketing, I mean, to watch Samuel L. Jackson deliver that line in full-throated Samuel L. Jackson, it's like, okay, you know what? I'll go watch an hour-and-a-half movie just to wait for that line. It's all good. It's all good. And a lot of people are responding to a mention of what's his name, Tiger King.
Yeah, Joe Exotic.
Carol Baskins, was that her name? See, I never watched.
Oh, you never watched that?
I never watched the show.
That was fascinating to me. I loved watching that.
It came off like a redneck, animal crazy soap opera.
Yeah. I went to high school 8 miles from where that place was.
Uh-oh.
Yes, sir.
Of course, it wasn't there when
It wasn't there when I was there. Yeah. Well, I mean, we had rednecks. They just didn't have tigers.
Well, 5510 wants to know what the hell these poor tigers are going to do in the wild.
They're going.
I'm assuming they're going to eat.
They're going to get it.
Whatever they want to do. They're the same as the dire wolf.
They're in a sanctuary. They'll be fine.
Yeah. Oh, they'll be all right.
Yeah, they'll find a nice place for them.
But 5237 says that Joe. See, Weber, you're not doing your job as executive producer of this radio show because apparently Joe Exotic appears on a radio show from prison.
Does he really? I bet that's entertaining.
Let's go.
Wow.
Apparently, he's according to 5237, he frequently appears on a radio show from prison and denies the tigers came from him to this day. Okay.
Yeah, right.
Whatever.
Okie dokie.
I don't know about all of that. I know about this. So we're gonna briefly bring up the Pete Hegseth story, which I don't think is a big story unless and until Pete Hegseth has got to get his systems in place to prevent further leaks. We now know more. By the way, we now know more about Pete Hegseth's Signal chat than we do about either of the two assassins that attempted to kill Donald Trump. So there's that going on. But we will get into Samuel Alito's scathing dissent, plus what you can expect from property tax increases in Davidson County. And I want to hear from some of you if you so desire. 615-737-9986. One more hour to go. It's The Murphy Show on Super Talk.
Six o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Trump administration says student borrowers in default on their loans better start paying up. ABC News national correspondent Stephen Portnoy.
The move to resume collections in 2 weeks is expected to impact millions of borrowers who've long stopped repaying their student loans. The Education Department says it will end a confusing limbo for borrowers that began 5 years ago at the start of the pandemic. If those who are behind on their loans don't soon take steps to begin making payments, the government will start garnishing their wages later this year.
Harvard University suing the Trump administration over its recent move to freeze over $2 billion in federal funding. The conflict flared up last week when Harvard refused to comply with a series of demands from the Trump administration after it alleged the school had anti-Semitism run rampant on campus. In response to Harvard's refusal, the Trump administration froze more than $2 billion in federal funding. Firing back in today's lawsuit, Harvard argued the government's unlawfully using the funding as leverage over the school, violating both federal law and the First Amendment.
This is a special report from ABC News. I'm Michelle Franzen. Pope Francis, who battled pneumonia for the past few months, died today. The Vatican released his death certificate showing the 88-year-old suffered a cerebral stroke. ABC's Terry Moran has more on his life.
All those unforgettable moments of Pope Francis, the way that he went to a war zone, that he brought refugees back to his own house in Rome. And all those gestures, that's really his legacy, not hammered out in writing in church doctrine, but in the witness that he bore with his own personal example. The question is, personalities come and go. It's doctrine that survives. And what will come next is a question before the church.
The Vatican released the Pope's will and also stated he wants his funeral to reflect his humble life. Following the Pope's public funeral, cardinals will convene to choose his successor. President Trump today ordering flags be lowered to half-staff in his honor. The president will also attend the Pope's funeral.
Meta is making some changes aimed at cracking down on young people who lie about their age on Facebook and Instagram.
Meta is now testing artificial intelligence that automatically enrolls users who are suspected of lying about their age into teen accounts, a more restrictive form of account on Facebook and Instagram. Users generally interact with people of their own age, so Meta says it's using AI technology that will specifically examine who an account is friending or messaging on the platform. Because AI is imperfect, Meta also says it's giving people the option to change their settings in case we make a mistake. Mike Dabusky, ABC News.
Meta rolled out teen accounts last year. The accounts limit who can see and who can message a teenager's account on the platform. And that's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Over on the East Loop going westbound, police reporting a crash partially blocking the off-ramp to Shelby Avenue. Then TDOT says there's a stalled vehicle on the right shoulder slowing things down 65 northbound at Trinity Lane. And a crash at Harding Place and Nolensville Pike reported by police. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
And 3 hours have flown by. We've got one more to go on the Matt Murphy Radio Show. It's 6 minutes after 6 o'clock, and a good afternoon. I guess I should say good evening. Hope everyone's doing well. Hope the drive home is going well, if that's what you might be doing. According to our man in the traffic situation, 24 seems to be doing well, right? I mean,
Stop it.
That's according to Jay Harper, Ken.
Let's not even talk about it.
That's what he said. He said 24 eastbound toward Murfreesboro, doing fine. By the way, the general consensus from not one but two super texters would be, well, they always wondered why Ken Weaver liked to run around with no shirt on. Now they kind of have an idea. Joe Exotic, Ken Weaver, no shirt.
Oh, I didn't put those together. Yeah.
Start putting that kind of thing together. And then Brian writes in and said, for me, I guess this is to me because I don't know Joe Exotic. I know the basic outline of the story. He said Joe Exotic is like Kid Rock mixed with a cocaine tornado of illegal fireworks. That's pretty good. A cocaine tornado of illegal fireworks. Okay. Well, you're making me want to watch the show. I'll tell you that.
With a little bit of Liberace thrown in for good measure.
Oh, well. That sounds like, the premise is he runs an exotic.
Like a petting
animal
zoo type thing, almost.
Yeah. And it was illegally run.
Apparently.
I assume.
Yeah, that's what
And
what
there's drugs involved?
Probably.
There might have been a few.
Might have been, yeah.
Okay. Well, why is he in jail?
I'm not sure.
Why did he go to jail?
Did he go?
I think it was
now we gotta look it up.
I think it was all of the Carol Baskin stuff. Like he threatened to kill her or something like that, and she basically sued him and tried to prosecute him, have him prosecuted for
that's right,
threatening to kill her.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, conspiracy to commit murder.
Yeah.
Oh, he was, and Carol Baskin is.
She owns a cat sanctuary in Florida.
Yeah.
And they were, kind of competition and
competing against
they
one another.
hated one another.
Yes, they did.
And so he eventually decided he wanted to.
Yeah.
Well, he'd put videos of himself out like he was a country singer. Except it would be somebody else singing, but Joe Exotic, he'd have like a big fan in front blowing his mullet back, looking out at some trees or something.
It was the second best mullet I've ever seen. The best mullet I ever saw was at the Nashville Palace one night when, man, oh, man, that was a good-looking mullet. Other than that, the second best mullet I've ever seen was on Joe Exotic.
Yeah.
All right, so on more serious matters, Supreme Court Justice. So this thing that happened over the weekend, it is a temporary halt to deportation flights under the Alien Enemies Act. The good news is the court did not determine that there was a misuse of the Alien Enemies Act, only that they wanted the halt to make sure a process had been put in place. Let me give you the full rundown, including the scathing dissent by Supreme Court Justice Samuel Alito, who faulted his colleagues for temporarily halting deportation flights under the Alien Enemies Act, quote, literally in the middle of the night. Alito's dissent, also sent out at nearly midnight Saturday, came after the court agreed in the early hours of the morning to block, for now, any additional flights that would transport migrants to a Salvadorian prison. One would expect that once a process is put into place, that temporary halt would be lifted, because otherwise the courts don't really have any say in the manner of execution of our immigration policies per the executive branch of government. That's coming from Matt Murphy, not from anybody else. From Samuel Alito, he wrote, and by the way, I'm surprised that they got to a 7-2. I suppose that vote would be decidedly different if it were a permanent halt. This is a temporary halt, and two of the justices did not even want to do that, including Alito himself, who wrote, the court issued unprecedented and legally questionable relief without giving the lower courts a chance to rule, without hearing from the opposing party, within 8 hours of receiving the application, with dubious factual support for the order, and without providing any explanation for the order, he wrote. I refused to join the court's order because we had no good reason to think that under the circumstances, issuing an order at midnight was necessary or appropriate. The court took an unusual step of issuing its ruling without waiting for Alito to share his dissent, another detail demonstrating the swiftness of the action after it was asked to intervene. The American Civil Liberties Union has challenged the removal in lower court, it quickly launched an appeal seeking emergency relief, saying the government is directed not to remove any member of the class of detainees from the United States until further order of this court, according to the Supreme Court. The class extends to any migrant detained in the Northern District of Texas who's being removed under the Alien Enemies Act. It does not apply elsewhere, though the judges overseeing separate cases have temporarily blocked deportation for those detained in the Southern District of New York, the District of Colorado, and the Southern District of Texas. The law enables migrants to be summarily deported and amid a declared war or invasion by a foreign nation, and invasion is allowed to be open for interpretation. The law has been leveraged on 3 separate occasions. Trump contends, I should say, that he can use this during this time because the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua is effectively invading the United States of America, what most reasonable people recognize as a literal invasion. Samuel Alito is exactly right. It is ridiculous the courts decided to intercede. It is ridiculous to suggest that the Trump administration does not have broad stretching authority to enact his immigration policy. And it is ridiculous to suggest that illegal aliens in the United States of America enjoy the same measure of constitutional rights that our citizens do. There's a reason why the 14th Amendment says people and not citizens. There's a reason, right? But there's also a reason why the Constitution uses the word citizen in so many different cases and not the word people, indicating that our founding fathers fully understood, and those that came afterwards, when they wrote amendments like the 13th or the 14th Amendments, they fully understood the difference in the language. And they understood the difference between a citizen's constitutional right and the basic human rights of other people who may or may not be in the United States of America illegally. If you do not understand that this is a true invasion, I don't think you've understood the nature of the southern border over the last 4 years and what the Trump administration had to do in its first 90 days in order to get it under control. Thankfully, it's a temporary stay. And thankfully, there are other measures and other methods by which the United States can utilize our immigrations and customs enforcement, our border security at the southern border, and other agencies in order to effect the removal of these individuals. In the meantime, according to the Department of Homeland Security, they provided Fox News. This is on the heels of the Tennessee Star breaking this story about the Tennessee, the involvement of the Tennessee Highway Patrol in the stoppage of Kilmar Abrego Garcia, who was pulled over by the Tennessee Highway Patrol in late 2022, in December of 2022, when an officer suspected that he was engaged in human trafficking. According to Bill Malusian of Fox News, they published a Department of Homeland Security document following up on the story originally printed by the Tennessee Star. The DHS document confirms that the Department of Highway Patrol, the Tennessee Highway Patrol, stopped Abrego Garcia on December 1st for speeding and failing to maintain his lane. Confirmed that the THP officers suspected that the alleged MS-13 gang member was participating in human trafficking while transporting 8 individuals from Texas to Maryland. There was a total of 9 people traveling in the vehicle. Abrego Garcia told THP officers that he spent the last 3 days driving from Houston, Texas to Temple Hills, Maryland to, quote, bring people in to perform construction work, end quote. According to the report, they noted that there was no luggage in the vehicle, and that led the officers to suspect that it was a human trafficking situation. The report also revealed that all 8 of his passengers provided the same home address as Abrego Garcia, his address. Also revealed that none of the passengers had any identification on them. Their handwriting was deemed to be illegible by the officer, who requested they write down their names on paper. According to the Department of Homeland Security, they did not indicate that there was FBI involvement, which was previously confirmed by the Tennessee Star from the Tennessee Highway Patrol. According to the Highway Patrol, the FBI took over jurisdiction for the stop for unknown reasons. Now listen to this. They stopped a vehicle with 9 people in it. Nobody had identification. Garcia was the only one that spoke broken English, and apparently he was speaking more broken English than he actually could speak. He was intentionally trying to confuse the officers. Was non-responsive in a lot of the answers. In the ones that he was responsive for, he said, I'm bringing these construction workers back to Maryland. They had no documentation. They were believed to be human trafficking. When the FBI took over the case, they let them go. They let them go. One would think that the mainstream media, including organizations like #NeverCNN, I call it #NeverCNN because they are a garbage network full of garbage people spewing garbage. I'll watch so you don't have to. You would think they'd be more interested in this. The fact that the FBI abdicated their responsibility and their role in all of this and let these individuals go. Now, I don't blame the Tennessee Highway Patrol. At some point, if the FBI takes over jurisdiction in what is believed to be an interstate trafficking case, you have to let the FBI handle it at that point. According to a Tennessee Highway Patrol spokesperson who told the Tennessee Star this, per standard protocol, they contacted federal law enforcement authorities within the Biden-era FBI, an agency of jurisdiction, who then made the decision not to detain him. Instead of noting the FBI's involvement in the stop, according to the Department of Homeland Security, they said encountering officer decided not to cite the subject for driving infractions, gave him a warning citation for driving with an expired driver's license. The document also revealed the driver's license presented by Abrego Garcia was expired and was issued from Maryland with a marking limited term temporary, which Maryland issues to individuals who are legally within the United States on a temporary basis. Some status that he had achieved in 2019 after admitting that he was a member of MS-13 and would be under significant harm or even a death threat if he were sent back to El Salvador. What do we take from all of this? Well, you begin to understand the nature in which the FBI under the Biden administration treated the issue of illegal immigration and the issue of human trafficking. You begin to understand the full totality of the amount of people that were allowed illegally into the United States of America under the Biden regime. You begin to realize the total lie that the Biden administration engaged in when they suggested that there was nothing that they could do about the human trafficking situation or the fentanyl situation or the illegal alien flood that was coming across our southern border. It was a total lie. And American people are dead as a result. American citizens are dead as a result. You know, we can name them. I can go down the list. I don't have to name them. The names are so familiar to the Marin family, the Riley family, and on and on and on and on and on it goes. As a result of the illegal alien trafficking that existed specifically during the Biden administration. And no one's being held to account because the mainstream media, instead of focusing on the aspects of his presence in the United States of America and how so many others have negatively impacted American citizens who are here illegally, they want to suggest that he's a Maryland man. He's not a Maryland man. They want to suggest that he somehow has some legal right to be here or be back here. He doesn't. And the Democrats only focus on him, as opposed to the American people that have been so dramatically and negatively impacted. Donald Trump took a lot of guff back in 2016 and 2017 when he said that the mainstream media, the national mainstream media, was an enemy of the state, was an enemy of the people, more specifically. Well, they sure as hell seem like an enemy to the American people, don't they? Considering that they apparently put the rights of an El Salvadorian national ahead of the rights of the Marin family or anybody else impacted by illegal aliens. When we return, more on the property taxes that are expected to go up in Davidson County. Don't worry, I'll explain it to you. Heather, I'll get to you in a moment as well as Super Talk 99.7 WTN continues. Hello, friends. Matt Murphy here for Tennessee Men's Clinic. Since 2014, that's over 10 years now, the Tennessee Men's Clinic has been providing quality, comprehensive coverage and comprehensive analysis of everything involving men's health. Gentlemen, it is a men's-centric platform. And by the way, there are certain things that go on with men as we age that are obviously men-only issues, such as testosterone loss. And through testosterone loss, you can see a loss of libido. You can see a loss of desire or drive in bedroom activities. And I understand that this is a personal conversation, but it's one that you need to have, men, because results and performance can be right around the corner for you. You don't have to live with this. All you have to do is contact the Tennessee Men's Clinic for a comprehensive evaluation from one of their qualified urologists. Professional, discreet, it's going to work for you, man. They have multiple different ways to ensure that. Make the call that so many others have made. There's locations in Cool Springs and the original Midtown location, and I want you to be a part of the Tennessee Men's Clinic family. Go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com, TennesseeMen'sClinic.com, or call at 615-208-9090, 208-9090, and schedule that appointment today for the Tennessee Men's Clinic. Thank you, Ken Weaver. 26 after the hour. Super texter Kevin wants to know who sided with Alito. Without looking at it was 7-2. without looking it up, Kevin, I would be willing to bet you that it was Clarence Thomas. I would be willing to bet a lot of money that it was Clarence Thomas without looking any of it up, because I can't imagine that Clarence Thomas would have decided that it was a good idea without opportunity to fully review the case, without all of these opportunities as presented by Alito. I can't imagine that Clarence Thomas would have voted for this thing. So, I mean, without looking it up, I would guess Clarence Thomas, but I'll give a look and let you know after the news. By the way, Matt Murphy on the social media platform, the X machine, is at Matt Murphy Show. You're invited to follow me. You're invited to follow us on a variety of different platforms. I'm occasionally on Facebook. I'm mostly on X. X is an absolute cesspool. It's not a real place. It's awful people saying awful things in an awful way. And I absolutely love it. I adore it, and I cherish it, and I'm there all the time. Well, you can find me at Matt Murphy Show. Follow me, and I promise at some point I'll infuriate you. At other times I'll amuse you. That said, I responded to this story. This story broke about Kristi Noem, and Byron York said the head of the Department of Homeland Security was robbed, $3,000 in cash. Her passport was in there, et cetera, et cetera. And I said $3K in cash, genuinely curious why Noem needs that much money in hand. And some of you have gotten annoyed at me for asking that question. Julia writes in and says, Easter Sunday, cash for adult kids and grands. She's a wealthy woman after all. I had cash on me yesterday for the same reason. My $300 is just like her $3,000. No one's business. And then she wrote back. Julia did, because I didn't respond to her. Latest news, she was paying for dinner and gifts to family. You're a libertarian, Matt. How much cash she has or what was intended to do with it is no one's business. I'm not saying she did anything wrong. Y'all don't get me wrong. I'm not suggesting that Kristi Noem was in the wrong for having cash. It was just odd to me. And by the way, is this common practice to hand out cash at Easter? And why did I miss this practice? Was this a part of your family gathering when you were a kid? Or
it wasn't for me, but it is for my son. Because my parents came into town for Easter weekend, and
give a little,
my mom, even though my son is 17 years old, 2 weeks away from graduating from high school, his grandmama still, his Mimi still gives him an Easter basket, and it had cash in it.
Huh?
Yep.
I'll be darned.
Yeah, I don't know. I missed the boat on that one. All I got was a little cheap plastic and some chocolate.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those cheap baskets with you undo the seal and there's little eggs and stuff in there. Mm-hmm. Maybe you get some eggs. You get to dye some Easter eggs. I didn't know that this cash was a big thing, but apparently maybe it is.
I guess it is.
I suppose. So apparently Kristi Noem was handing out cash to all the folk. Well, she was planning on it. She did not get a chance to because somebody robbed her. I just don't think it's a good idea to run around. I mean, but I get it. I mean, that makes sense to me. Asked and answered as an explanation as to why she would have that much cash. And like you say, if you got a big old family and you're a well-to-do person, maybe you're going to have, 10 times the amount of money that some of us would have lying about. I fully get it. Heather, well, I'll tell you what, Heather, hang in there. You've been holding for a while. I see the time on the wall, and that means that I got to get to Ken Weaver, but I'll get to you in a moment because we're going to talk about this property tax issue in Nashville in just a second on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It's here. It's here. Hot dang, it's here. You've been hearing me talk about it. The Genesis Diamonds buying event everyone waits for every year is finally here. This Friday, Saturday, and Sunday is the Genesis Diamonds biggest event of the year, 3 days only. Unbelievable store-wide savings. And when they say store-wide savings, they mean it. Up to 35% off some items. And the selection is like double the norm. Top bridal designers come in to showcase their new collections. Beautiful, one-of-a-kind pieces, including all of the new engagement ring mountings. If you've been thinking about an anniversary or birthday that you have coming up, it's time to buy during this special event. You can check out thousands of engagement ring settings, rings, earrings, pendants, bracelets, bands, stunning fashion jewelry, all available for you at Genesis Diamonds Plus. Special pricing on natural as well as lab-grown diamonds. It's the event where the Genesis staff knows it's time to go. It's time to break all the rules. Special financing available, too, with store-wide savings up to 35%. If you have any special event coming up, like an engagement, an anniversary, a birthday, a new baby, whatever, it's time to get it done. It's 3 days only. Get there this weekend, Friday through Sunday. Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills, and Cool Springs. Tell Matt Murphy. Say it to you. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I mentioned following me on social media on the X machine at Matt Murphy Show. I just looked over at my social media platform, and this is pretty funny. You see these things all the time on the X machine. The most incredible places that don't seem real. And I love it when those things get, and there's one that's up right now. It's the most surreal place that doesn't seem real. Open the thread and be amazed. And it's this photograph of a thing that's obviously not real. And there's a community note on there and said, the image is fake. It's AI generated. That's why it doesn't seem real, because it's not real. I love the modern world.
Yeah, that was fun.
It was a lot of fun. That's the kind of things you deal with over there. Okay, so property taxes. It was announced that your property rates are going up by a considerable amount in Davidson County, by an average of 45%. By state law, and I just want to explain this to you real quickly. So there is an act called the Truth in Taxation Act in the state of Tennessee. State law prevents this amount of increase to the consumer from Davidson County. So state law prohibits them from going up on property tax rates by 45%, despite the fact that the property evaluation has gone up by 45%. So what they have to do is they have to zero it out. They have to go down by property tax rates consistent with the amount of money that your property is being overvalued, meaning that it zeroes out at that point. The Truth in Taxation Act ensures that you're not paying more, you're not paying less, but you're not paying more. But what is going to happen, because that Truth in Taxation Act has to kick in, is that the people within Davidson County and the mayor's office are going to claim that they have to go back up on the property tax rates because state law requires them to go down. Does that make sense to everyone? Because the rate is going up, because your evaluation is going up by 45%, state law does not allow them to go up by that amount in any given year in your property taxes. So they have to go down in their property tax rates in order to account for the increase in the value of your home. Well, when they do that, then after that happens, they're going to go back up on the rates afterwards, and they're going to suggest that they have to do that to zero out. It's already been zeroed out based on the property tax evaluation. They are going up on your property taxes without question. I hope that makes sense to everybody. Heather is up next. Thank you for your hold, Heather. I'm glad you did. Good afternoon.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm not sure I understand what you just explained, but I'll tell you what happened to us. We have commercial property in Davidson County, kind of over near the zoo. It's less than an acre. And several years ago, I think it was about 4 years ago, when the property tax changed, they said they were going up like 20-something%. So we had been for years paying in the $8,000 or $9,000 range a year for our property. Well, so you think a 20% increase? Well, okay, we can handle that. But the problem is that then the assessment also went up, and our property tax more than doubled on that property, from under $9,000 to what we are paying now, over $20,000.
Oh my goodness!
So, and that was in 1 year. That was an increase in 1 year. So, if we've got another one coming this soon, I mean, that was just about 4 years ago. You know, I just don't get it. I wish that I knew what the city was doing with the property tax money, because I know when there was a big story about them closing the Ernest Tubb record shop down there, and I looked up the property tax down there at that building down on Broadway, and it was like $40,000 a year. I'm like, who can pay that, and what are they doing with the money if every one of those buildings down there is paying $40,000 plus everything else in the county?
So let me try. I mean, you're right in assuming that your rates are about to go up again, or that the total amount is about to go up again. But I'll try to explain it one more time. So the assessment has gone up. So they're claiming that your property is more valuable than it was 4 years ago, and that's fine. The state requires, through the Truth in Taxation Act, that the state establishes the tax rate, and the tax rate has to be revenue neutral from last year to this year. So because your value on your property is going up, the rates are going to go down. Does that make sense? So that you're neutralized out. In other words, you're going to pay the same amount of money, even though the rates go down. So if you were paying $20,000 last year, you'll pay $20,000 this year, until Mayor Freddie O'Connell recommends a rate increase. And that is separate from what's going on with assessment. And when he recommends that increase, he's going to claim that the only reason he's doing an increase is because the rates have gone down. But the rates only go down because the assessed value has gone up so much. So it is going to be it's going to amount to a property tax increase for you this year, Heather.
Yeah, that doesn't sound good.
No, it's not. I mean, no, but watch what they do. They're going to claim that they're just leveling it back up to where it used to be. And they're going to claim, oh, we're not doing anything. The state made us go down to this percentage, and we're just getting it back up to the percentage where it used to be. And they're going to act like that's zeroing it out. The mayor is going, and thank you, Heather, for the call. I hope I'm making sense here. The mayor is going to try to claim that they're not raising your property taxes. They're just getting them back to where they were. They are absolutely raising your property taxes. The state prevents them from going up by 45% just because the assessment went up by 45%. So the state forces them on the certified tax rate. If your property gets assessed at 50% more than its current value, it forces them to go down in the rate consistent with the increased amount of money that you would pay. So that levels it out, right? Well, the mayor and the Metro Council can't have that. They don't want the same amount of money that they got last year. They want more money. And so in order to get more money, they're going to go up on your property taxes. They're going to increase the rate, and they'll yell and scream about, oh, we're just getting it back to where it was. We're just getting it back to where it was. No, because the assessed value was so much more, they are, in effect, raising your property taxes. Okay? Now, I hope that makes sense to everyone. The second thing that they're going to do, as sure as I am sitting here, and they're already starting to do it, they are going to blame Donald Trump for all of this. I predicted it last week. I was at an event last week at for the Americans for Prosperity folks invited me to a property tax conversation involving Davidson County. And I was there, and I predicted it last week. They are going to blame Donald Trump, and they're already doing it. This was sent to me by a loyal listener, and it is from District 7 Councilwoman Emily Benedict. And what I predicted is that they're going up on your property taxing rates, and they're going up on your bills, and they're going to blame Trump, saying, well, all of this federal money that they're cutting, we got to make up for all those federal dollars. We got to make up for all these grants that we're not getting anymore in Nashville. And what are we going to do without all of that money? Well, how about cut your budgets? How about live within your means? How about we can't afford it? How about you're already bleeding people out of Davidson County, and more people are going to leave? You go up on property taxes again, and if you don't think because you live in Wilson County or Sumner County, if you don't think because you live in Rutherford County or Murray County or what, it's going to impact you too, because more people are about to move into your communities. More people on your roads. More people utilizing city services. Now, that's maybe all well and good, and that's fine, and y'all can handle it. But the more that the city of Nashville and the Davidson County Metro Council does this, the more people will leave that have the ability to leave. Anyway, so here's Emily Benedict. As predicted by me, they're going to blame Trump. Here's the email. This was someone that reached out to Emily Benedict and asked about the property tax increases that are expected. And Benedict responded, "Thank you for reaching out to me. Tax increases are one of the hardest decisions we make at council, and one that I support only with the greatest of caution. Last year, every department had to show a savings before their budgets were fulfilled just to keep the lights on for services that our residents want. Here is guidance from the mayor's office to department heads specific to upcoming budget requests for FY26. Here's an infographic of the 2020, she's including links and all of this, of the 2025 budget showing revenues, expenditures, department breakdown. Additionally, here is a link to the entire Citizen's Guide to the budget if you want to dig deeper. During the month of May, we will conduct hearings with all major departments, and that's where we will see what gaps there are, including any leftover revenue that a department may have from the current fiscal year." And this is the portion I wanted to read to you. "The biggest gap that we're going to see this year is in the federal cuts being made to health, education, and housing. If the federal government won't send our income taxes back to the states, and I haven't heard of any tax cut yet, Donald Trump's trying to make tax cuts permanent. What are you talking about, lady? You haven't heard about that? If we want to continue our city services, then we will have to pay for them somehow. I anticipate the changes by the current administration in Washington, D.C. will have a significant negative impact on our ability to pay for things locally. If we want police, fire, roads, education, affordable housing, parks, trash, and more, then we are going to have to fund them locally. As tourism declines," what? "Reportedly due to immigration policies," we can't rely on our sales tax revenue to grow like it has in the past. So they're blaming Trump and his crackdown on immigration and his crackdown on overspending by the federal government as why your taxes are going up, as predicted by me. It's 10 minutes until the top of the hour on Super Talk. Have you noticed how unreliable certain things have become these days? Somebody tells you, oh, it's going to be ready at 4 o'clock. Just be here at 4 o'clock, pick it up. You get there at 4 o'clock, and it's not ready. Well, people are really tired of that kind of stuff. Friends, it's Matt Murphy, and if you've had unreliable vehicle repair shops in your life, you need to go to Eurofix. Eurofix turns unreliable into reliable, and Eurofix has your vehicle ready when it's really ready. You don't have to stand around waiting. Eurofix repairs all European cars with quality that simply beats the dealer and without the dealer pricing. Here's the deal. Dealer repair shops are designed to pay virtually all of a dealership's overhead, and that's a lot of money, a lot of additional money that you ought not to be paying. That's why you should go to Eurofix. Why would you want to pay for all that? At Eurofix, reliable also means a 3-year nationwide warranty and a free loaner car with every repair appointment. Call ahead on those loaner cars. They're incredibly popular, but if you're tired of unreliable repair shops, go to where it's reliable. Go to Eurofix. Family owned for 26 plus years. Call 844-EUROFIX or visit myeurofix.com. That's myeurofix.com. Super Talk 99.7 WTN, a reminder, with all of that said regarding Davidson County property tax increase possibilities, the fact that I believe it is, as they say, a fait accompli. I believe that it is in the mix. It will happen. They will blame the federal government. They will ultimately blame Donald Trump. They do have to, they have to make their transit tax proposal whole. The only way the transit tax proposal worked was to include federal dollars that they were banking on getting through federal grant money. Well, a lot of that grant money's not coming because the federal government's overspending by $2 trillion a year. We have to get that under control. Local governments have to learn to only spend local government money or state money. State governments have to learn not to depend on freebies from the feds, a blank check from the feds. That's the only way the country becomes financially solvent again. And with that in mind, it's time to depend on only that. But they will blame their tax increases on the White House. Bank on it. 8659 says, I was listening to Nashville's mayor on 99.7 FM, and he mentioned the possibility of property tax increases because city employees have not had a proper pay raise due to the cost of living increase. Well, I think, unless he was on a different show, I don't know that he was on a different show. I think that was on our show. And he certainly left open the possibility of property tax increases the last time we had him on. And as a side note, the mayor, Freddie O'Connell, whom, look, none of this is personal. Freddie seems like a nice guy. I'd love to have a Pabst Blue Ribbon with him and all. But, my grandpa was a nice guy. I don't want my grandpa running the city. Although, even dead, I think he might do a better job. But that's neither here nor there. Freddie seems like a nice enough fella. But he is absolutely going to increase your property tax rates. And he can say it's because of because of pay raises or whatever. He can blame Trump all he wants. You either live within your means or you don't. And it does not seem to me that the city is suffering that much from tourism, despite what some of the city councilors want to say. Doesn't feel to me like tourism is down. Maybe I'm wrong. Brian says Wilson County is salivating at the idea of raising taxes, too. They have dreams of being Franklin. I love Mount Juliet, but they better remember why the tax-paying city. I agree with you there. You want to lose Matt Murphy as a resident, start going up on your tax rates. I'll tell you that. 1733 says elections have consequences. When you vote for Democrats, you get Democrat taxes. 1726, Davidson County's blue, voted for Hillary and probably Kamala, supports LGBTQ and BLM. I was talking to family this weekend at I was talking to a loyal listener of the Matt Murphy Show from Roswell, New Mexico, my uncle-in-law. And uncle-in-law Mark said, he was just asking. He said, well, Tennessee's red. I said, sure. He said, well, what about Nashville? And we were talking about Nashville. I was like, Nashville's not red. I said, it's probably redder than, it's more purpley than some cities of its size. I think it has its fair share of Republicans, fair share of conservatives, but it's blue. And blue is as blue does, or blue does as blue is. 3945 said, I just got the paper in the mail last week. My property tax went from $92,000 to $238,000. Property tax?
Maybe their valuation may have gone up that much.
If that's their property tax, am I talking to a frist? If your property tax 3945 went from $92,000 to $238,000, I would like to request to be your adopted child, please. Thank you.
Can I hold $1?
Can a brother borrow a buck or two? Yes, indeed. Oh, boy. We're just scratching. I didn't get to the MSNBC scare tactics. It was basically a weekend show where they said black folks were next. It's neither here nor there. Hands off rally in Franklin. They were protesting everything. Perhaps we'll get to some of that tomorrow. Mark Levin is coming up next. We enjoyed it tonight. Hope you did as well. Thank you for being a part of the show. Don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and the like. And go over to the @Matt Murphy Show page